Hi. Hello. Let's get some music. Are we on? Yes, we're on. Hey, James. Hello, Bengali Shrek. Ruesta Juice. Hello, St. Nicholas. Welcome to the stream. Why would I go to sleep at 5 p.m., mate? Hello, hello. Okay, welcome to the stream. So how you guys doing? Good evening from the UK. Hey, Retro Rix. Daniel, good to have you here. Thank you. Buenos tardes, Brandon. Exactly. Go fast now. I even made a post today about that. It's on my X account. So weird to say X account. It's like, what? So it's not your account anymore? Crying out loud. But yeah. So check this out. See if you agree with that. The difference between biased and based is literally the eye. Remove your feelings and look at the facts. How about that? How about that, you Muppets? Unfortunately, removing the eye is not easy, but we all have a certain amount of bias, but let's be based. Baby Yoda, good. Glad you agree. Sorry, your account left you. Seriously, yeah, it's the X account. What the heck? X page. So it's not a page anymore. Rhetoric says that's based. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Welcome, guys. Welcome. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Got a few things to review today. Of course, we're going to have a look at chat, as we always do, the beginning. Read a bit of chat, see what you guys are doing. If you have any questions and whatnot, more than happy, of course. 8.5 hours stream today? No, not today, but yesterday, man, 8 hours. Yesterday I was live for 8 hours, guys. Have you seen the new Max Miller video today? No, I haven't seen it. I'm curious. What is it? I'm not going to watch it right now because I don't want to start with reacts. I always leave reacts towards like the latter end of the stream when we do that. But do let me check because I'm curious. You got me curious. So let's see. Let's see, Max Miller. What's my boy been doing? Let's see. Hello, TY. Thank you for supporting the stream. Very much appreciated. So let's see what we've got. So Kaiser Schmarrn. I don't know how to read it. The original Kaiserschmarrn of the Austrian Empire. Man, this guy. Where does he come up with the ideas? I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, it's something I'd like to check at one point. Papal feast. Yeah, he should make a video on like Pope food. Like, what does the Pope eat? And make a Pope food in the 12th century. That's what he should do. Man, he'd get, if he did that on the day when, because you see, now people are not really as interested as, in Googling Pope, Papal Conclave, and all that kind of stuff as they were a few days ago. Literally, a few days ago, it was number one in Google Trends. Number one in Google Trends was the Pope, which is why I made a video. Man, could you imagine if he made Food of the Papacy on the day that it was still number one on Google Trends? Not that he needs my help. He's just got 150,000 in 7 hours, which is phenomenal views. But I'm just saying, could you imagine? It would have got, I don't know what it would have got. Great shirt. Thank you. Yeah, it's a nice shirt. I got it the other day. Went with my wife to a shopping center. She got a Lego set. I bought it to her as a kind of a early birthday gift. She really wanted the Lord of the Rings Lego set, so I got it for her because they had a big Lego store. And then we found this store that had like vintage t-shirts, so I bought a t-shirt. I bought this t-shirt for the Megadeth, and then I bought a t-shirt it was about Metallica, and it had the album cover of Ride the Lightning, which is my favorite album from Metallica. And yeah, so it was pretty good. Ariana, I don't know anything about who Ariana Grande dates, to be honest. Not particularly interested, but do they have the same name? Would you be able to give a 31-year-old some study advice? Sure, about what? What are you studying? Hey, Matt, thank you for supporting the stream. Has the new Pope brought the Second Amendment to Europe yet? Yeah, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Man, in Italy, I couldn't even order a sharp blade. I couldn't even. That's why I never did the sort of content that a lot of other content creators do or used to do in the HEMA community, and then Japanese when they do test cuts. I couldn't do it because in Italy it was illegal. It still is illegal to own a sharp blade. It's insane. Yeah. Let's see. I'll check the comment rhetoric. It's a little long, so let me first entertain a bit chat. And then NNY says, 面白いタイトルですね。はい、そうです。Let's see. Sita, May, did you feel the magnitude 4 earthquake in Tennessee a few days? No. You felt it in Georgia? I didn't feel anything. No. He can bring ranch to Europe, not on pizza though. That would be like capital punishment. A scissor's illegal. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that happens in the UK particularly, but in general, wouldn't surprise me if they make scissors illegal. Like your food needs to be sold at supermarkets already cut because you're not supposed to have knives at home. Ciao Marco. Hey Daxfile, good to see you. C-Duck says, hey Metatron, happy to finally see a live stream. Did you ever hear of the Mabinogion Welsh folklore? No, I never did. Yeah, as you can see at the bottom here, I'm live Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. CDT. I hate ranch on pizza, but my wife loves it, and it is what it is. But then again, to be fair, she puts ranch on her, on American pizza, but in Italy she never, apart from the fact that you couldn't find it, but it's not like she's going to put ranch on real Neapolitan pizza in Italy. She's not going to do that. But with American pizza, she likes it, and that's great. Good for her. I don't. I just put a little extra virgin olive oil on top of pizza, whether it be American, whether it be Italian, whether it be whatever the heck. Because to me, that's how it works with pizza. But yeah, I have no idea who's the biggest manufacturer of firearms in Europe, but certainly the population doesn't have access to it unless you're like former military. But Italy makes it really complicated. Like if you're like a hunter, you can, but or like a collector in theory, but they make it really difficult. You need to take a lot of tests, and then you need to take these tests periodically, and then every year you need to go to law enforcement and redeclare what you've got. Like they make it very difficult to have firearms. The VB, thank you for supporting the stream. What do you think about Knight versus Samurai video of Dequitem? Have you seen it? No, I think I missed that one. Man, it's an old school thing. That's what we used to do back like 8 years ago. It's the kind of content we used to do. So yeah. Hello, Vain Pride. Good to see you here. Starwind Yuki. Hello, Metatron Noble Chat. Hello to you. Hey, Sapphire Pixie. That's such a cool name you've got. So you're studying history you're studying towards a history degree. I'm a single dad and work weekends. I see. I've fell behind by a few weeks with my studies and feeling a bit of dread. Of course, it's all about Russian Revolution, modern history. I find quite. Do I understand? Yeah, of course, stop procrastinating. I've got that. Maybe you need to make it into a routine. Like the idea is you need to see which time slots you have, because of course, single dad, you're busy, clearly. And then you got the weekends. Maybe try to, because what I do is, of course, I try to do as many things as possible. Got lots of projects, trying to write a book, trying to run different channels, trying to do streaming. So what I do is that I organize my slots. So for instance, as you see, 5 p.m., I'm live streaming, and because I always do it at 5 p.m. now, I know that come 5, that's what I do. So I stop everything else. In the morning, maybe you could have, if mornings work for you, or if you've got your child at school or whatever, I don't know, the age, then you could create like a time slot. The key for routines, in order for them to make them work, whether it be for study, whether it be for learning a language, whatever it is that you have to start with smaller chunks of time. So if you try and find 3 hours, you're not going to find it. And so you're never going to do it. And yet, if you had found 30 minutes every day, but every day, then at least you wouldn't have achieved an amazing amount of things, but you would have achieved more than not doing anything. So start with like trying to find small time slots, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even 45 minutes if you can do it. And those will be easier. Make those into a routine, and then little by little, you can start pushing them a bit as you get organized. And it's 1 hour every day, same time. And then, 1 hour a day. It's 7 hours of study every week. So yeah, that's what I would suggest you to do, honestly. Hello, the Javelin. Hey, a small planet. A small planet. Yeah, Napoli pizza is the best, 13th century, number one. And it's funny because I watched once this video of this guy that was insisting that American pizza was superior to Italian pizza, but he has never been to Naples. And he was like clicking on Google, looking at pictures. It's like, yeah, this is probably not. And I'm like, no, mate, no, because I've been to New York. I tried the pizza. I tried pizza in several states, and I still say I don't have a full picture of what American pizza is. And I've tried it on all sorts of types. But you can't make a categorical statement if you have never tried. You need to go to Naples, okay? Otherwise, you can tell me you love American pizza, which is cool, okay? You love American pizza. You think it's the best pizza you have ever had. That's great. But if you tell me American pizza is superior to the pizza in Naples, where you've never been to Naples, your opinion counts nothing. Go to Naples, try the pizza, the best places. And then if you tell me I still prefer the American pizza for this, and that, then I can respect the position. I don't think you will think that, but it is what it is. Pizza in Naples is phenomenal. And I'm not from Naples. I'm not. Yeah, I heard the pizza in Brazil is pretty good, actually. I doubt it's better than how we make it in Italy, but then again, I don't know. So to preach on my own thing, I don't know. I can't speak about Brazilian pizza. I do think that what they do, having tried the pizza in Naples, and it's mind-blowing, I do think that's very difficult to equal. But of course, I don't know. If you come to me and you tell me, hey, I had the pizza in this small town in the Philippines and it's phenomenal, I have no way, so I'm not going to share an opinion on it. But I have tried pizza in America in lots of places. I'd like to try Chicago, by the way. And up to this point, Neapolitan pizza is unbeatable. Unbeatable, guys. Unbeatable. That's what you're eating, Nicholas? Good stuff. Absolutely, Rhetorics, anytime. Any question you have, feel free, man. Oh, yeah, no, feel free. You can write very long comments. I don't mind. It's just it might take me a little longer to to read them, but that's fine. You can write whatever you want. The only thing that annoy me are when people like spam the same comment 17 times in all caps. That's when that happens. Usually, I don't read it on purpose because otherwise I would be encouraging that behavior. Am I right? So I specifically stop reading it, like avoid it on purpose if they do that way. it would discourage people from doing it. But that's the only thing. Thank you, Aloha Boy, for becoming a member of the channel. Very much appreciated. The other night, yesterday in fact, we reached 300 members of the channel, and we screamed "This is Sparta." My wife came upstairs, we screamed, it was great. And then we kept getting memberships, and I think now we're at around 315. So we're moving to, well, now probably 316, thanks to you. Our next goal is 500 members. And of course, in every live stream, do keep in mind that there will be a 30-minute slot where I put the chat for members only. The stream is still public for everyone, but the chat is only for members, so that it's my way to say thank you to you who are becoming members, and we can have a bit more of a one-to-one conversation with less comments in the chat, and then I revert back to public chat. And also, since now you're a member, every Friday I have a dedicated stream to members. Thank you guys, very cool. Jonathan Smith, thank you for your support. Just for you, Metatron, here's the best pizza recipe ever. Pineapple, mushroom, pineapple, anchovies, pineapple, cheddar, my gosh. Oh my gosh, could you imagine pineapple and anchovies? And anchovies? Oh no. Oh no. Apostasy. Apostasy. Are you reacting to videos today? Later on, probably, yeah. If we can find something interesting, I might. Sure. I mean, yeah, mushrooms are good on pizza, depending on the pizza. Mushrooms can be good, like some, yeah. It's not my favorite. I usually don't choose it, but I've had some pizzas with mushrooms that were actually pretty decent. A wise guy, thank you for supporting the stream. Are you going to play Mafia: The Old Country? 100% I'm going to play that game. I'll stream it. I'll definitely stream the first episode here, and then if I like it, I'll continue streaming it on Twitch. If I don't like it, I'll drop it after one stream. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll probably title it Sicilian Plays Mafia: The Old Country. I mean, how could I not title it like that? Am I right? Jersey pizza is the best in the world. New York is second. Says Richard, who hasn't been to Naples, I guess. I'd like to try Jersey pizza, though, because I never tried Jersey pizza. I've only tried, because I've never been to Jersey. I'd like to visit. Have you played Space Marine 2 yet? No, I've got other games. I kind of want to finish Oblivion first. Ice cream pizza is the best, says Daniel. What the heck is that? Oh my gosh. This video just showed up in my feed as YouTube featured. Sounds important. I don't know what that means. I don't know why YouTube is featuring this video, but good to hear. What video? This stream, you mean, or something else? I kind of doubt it's gonna be this stream, to be fair, but we'll see. Right now, stream is a little slow, but we'll see if it gets better. But you can't finish Oblivion. Well, finish the plot, the main storyline, I mean. Although then again, I'm going through the whole... I've already bought a house in Anvil. I always buy the house in Anvil. And then did that quest. Now I did the arena. I completed the arena, of course, became the arena grand champion. Now, I think I'm almost done with the Fighters Guild. I won't do the other guilds because I'll do a separate playthrough for those with a different character. But once I complete the Fighters Guild, I think that's when we're going to focus on closing the jaws of Oblivion. Yeah, but I did want to finish the Fighters Guild first. Yeah, and I'm purposely not doing all the other things, because then we can start a new playthrough, maybe with like a drow or something, and I could play it and then join the Assassin's Guild, and then maybe become a vampire, and then we can do that kind of quest lines, get the demonic horse, the black horse, and all of that. Yeah, Thieves Guild is pretty fun. Sure, that could be fun. Maybe in one playthrough we could do that, like both Thieves Guild first, and then we graduate into the Assassin's Guild or something. Yakubu says, I'm playing as vampire. Yeah, vampires is fun to play. I never do it, though, with my main characters. I always do it with a separate, dedicated character. And by the way, in all of these games, I try not to... Because some people focus, and I used to do this too, I used to focus on, okay, I need to do a full good playthrough, and then I need to do a full evil playthrough. But the reality is that the way I enjoy the most is like, I want to put the first playthrough with these games, I will make choices depending on what I would do. So like I role play it, try to put myself in that situation. I do that with Mass Effect too. And two meaning as well. And then whenever there is like a choice, I'm like, okay, what would I do in this case? And that's the way I enjoy the most, without having to think about, well, yeah, but if I make this choice, it's gonna lower the bar on the good side, so I'm not gonna achieve completion of the perfect. Like, I don't want to think it that way, because then I'm gonna make choices simply for that, and it feels like metagaming, and I don't enjoy it. On the second playthrough, when I decide to go for an evil character, then naturally, in the majority of cases, and I'm gonna choose like the evil choices and whatnot. But depending, that's how I like playing. I found that that's the way I enjoy it the most with games that allow you to have different paths. I used to do that. I did that with old school Jade Empire from the same studio that developed Mass Effect, by the way. It was one of the first games that allowed you to do that kind of storyline. Yeah. Or even Fable, the original Fable was another one like this. It's good fun. I think I like it the most because it feels immersive then, and I actually care about the choices when that happens. Like I remember I was doing a generally good playthrough on one of the Mass Effect, and then at one point I reached this part. We were on this planet, and there was this colony, and the colony was gonna be overrun. They had no power, they had no food, everything was going nuts, and it was time sensitive. So they were. I know that maybe wasn't time sensitive in the sense that as long as you don't progress the story, they're not gonna starve. But from the perspective of the character, no, they are starved. They're starving. And then there was this person that was like, no, you're not. This guy is like, no, you're not going through this corridor for whatever reason. I'm going to let you through, which would have made it so much faster to actually get to the objective. And the good choice would have been to like, okay, then we're going to go all the way around, risk my entire team, wait a long time, risk the entire colony. I shot him in the head. And so, yeah, that gave me like a negative penalty, when they give you. But I'm like, I'm sorry, but if this guy is not gonna move and countless people are gonna die, it becomes a paradox, right? This guy is clearly not a good guy. He's trying to block me. I understand he hasn't attacked me first, so it's not self-defense, but I just saved an entire colony and my team safety. It wouldn't move. It wouldn't freaking move. So that's just one of the things. It's at that point, sorry, but one guy goes down, saved the entire colony, and he wasn't even a good guy. I'll take it. So yeah, it's one of those things. Fable was such a good game, by the way. I loved Fable. The best games had nuance and not one obvious good and obvious bad. True, Joshua. Yeah, I've never really complained about these games like Mass Effect, Fable. I always enjoyed them. It's always good fun. Jedi Empire was a great game, by the way. Fable, it's strange because the first one was so innovative or innovative. I don't even know how you pronounce it. It was great, very new. The second one I enjoyed very much. Also, the fact that you could kind of play multiplayer, local multiplayer was fun. The third one had something wrong. Like, I still finished it twice. I finished twice every Fable. But the third one wasn't... There was something weird. Like, some ideas were good. You become the king, and then you have to choose policy for your kingdom. But the game in general didn't feel as good as the others. Not to mention the DLC ideas in that game were atrocious. Like, oh, you want to change hairstyle? DLC. You want a different beard? DLC. You want a hat? DLC. It was ridiculous. So yeah. Good evening, dances. You can't wait for Fable 4. Are they actually developing it? Or is it like one of those things that they say they will do, but they never actually do it? Richard says, Metatron, have you ever talked about the word America and its origins? I thought it was because of Amerigo Vespucci, but I don't know if that has been debunked or not. That's what I always thought, the explorer Amerigo Vespucci. But you let me know, I guess. If you're asking, I imagine it's something you have recently reviewed, because I haven't reviewed it. You say Amerigo, so I think then I'm correct. Do you like Paradox games? Yeah, can you give me an example? I know it's a studio, but right now I don't know which games they have. I'm sure I'm familiar, but yeah. Amerigo is the explanation. Okay, cool. Yeah, that could be nice to make as a video. Maybe talk about all the different explorers, Cristoforo Colombo, tell a little bit about their story. That could be fun. Who's the main character for Fable 4? Yeah, I used to play Gauntlet Legends, totally. Dark Legacy, I don't know, but Legends I played. Yeah, I have a physical copy. I think Nintendo 64. Yeah, I have the physical copy still. Make a video about Hidalgos. I don't know who Hidalgos is. I'm from Bath in the UK. Ooh, very Roman. We have incredible Roman baths. Have you ever seen? I've never been there physically, unfortunately. When I was living in England, I never really got to Bath, to Bath. But of course, I've watched a few, not only pictures, but I've watched a few documentaries on, because it was very interesting. The Terme, right? Yeah, after the Explorer. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Fable 2 was supposed to release this year, but got pushed back to 2026. Huh. That's a shame. But anyways, if it's for quality, I'm okay waiting, you know? And of course, I hope they don't fill it with politics. We'll have to see. We'll see what happens. Cosa ne pensi dell'Antico Testamento? Yeah, I mean, he's asking me, he wrote that in Italian, Christian, but it means, what do you think of the Old Testament? Yeah, I mean, I consider it scripture. I read it, I studied it. It's a little intense, isn't it? Only gets political if you think of it as such. I disagree, Baron. Some things are objectively political to push messages, and you know my stance on that. As someone who has studied Japanese, Chinese, and history, would studying modern Chinese help me understand the classical Chinese that the Japanese of the Heian period used in their diaries? Honestly, if that's your focus, I would focus on classical Chinese. I mean, yeah, sure. If you understand, if you study Mandarin and you reach a very high level, then a lot of the characters you'll still recognize. Although then again, it depends if you're studying. Are you studying the Mandarin the way it's written in the People's Republic of China? Then a lot of the characters are simplified and you won't recognize them. Others, the core characters, are still the same. When it comes to, if you study maybe the way they write it in either Hong Kong or the Republic of China, meaning Taiwan, then they still use the old characters. Although then again, yeah, if that's what you're focused on, considering the monumental amount of time you would need anyways to reach any decent level in Mandarin, at that point I would just focus on classical Chinese directly. And then maybe use your knowledge of classical Chinese as a foundation on the understanding of characters and the way, because characters is a strong representation of culture and the way they think, it's Chinese thought. Then from there, you could start building on modern languages. But then again, it really depends. I would always give priority to a modern language over anything classical like that, unless you want to become like a classicist. Then just focus on it. Because the amount of time you need with Asian languages, as someone who has, studied deeply too, the amount you need is monumental. It's monumental. So yeah. Can you speak some Japanese or Chinese? Yes, of course. What would you like? Do you mean, are you asking me if I'm able to do it, or are you asking me to do it right now? Which one is it? Yesterday during the stream, I actually started using both Mandarin and Japanese. Although my Mandarin is not that high. My Japanese, I'm fluent in Japanese. My Mandarin, I'm still working on it. So yeah, it's one of those things. So yeah. 何について話しましょうか日本語で。いや別に日本語で話すことができますから問題ないけど、その話題はわからないんだ。That's the only thing. Like, I don't want to speak too much because I don't want to bore the chat to death. But if you want me to say something in particular, 日本で, you would say 日本語で。日本語で話してください。Speak in Japanese, that's how you say. 日本語で話してください。Yeah. Have you seen the videos where the man speaks in Old English? It's crazy how different it sounds. Yes, like actual Anglo-Saxon, right? That was awesome. My pleasure. Yep, 日本語で話してください. That's correct. Exactly. Loving the shirt. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I like this shirt too. この間買った. If I wanted to say, I bought it the other day. この間買った. 家内と一緒に together with my wife. So I give a little the translation as well. So I don't bore people to death. What's the difference between Cantonese Chinese and Mandarin Chinese? They are very different, very different. First and foremost, Mandarin has less tones than Cantonese. They sound very different. I personally find Mandarin more pleasing to the ear. I like it more, the way it sounds. But Cantonese is fascinating too. It's just that they are very different. They are very different. Like if people speak Cantonese and you only know Mandarin, you won't understand almost anything. So I know we call them both Chinese, but that's a little misleading because it would be like calling German and Italian European. It's like, yeah, okay, we're both from Europe, but right? And the distance, both geographically, between Berlin and Rome is nothing compared to the distance between Beijing and Xianggang, so Hong Kong, Xianggang in Mandarin. Well, there you go. Hong Kong in Mandarin. Hong Kong is an approximation of how they say it in Cantonese. I don't really know the tones in Cantonese, so I'm not going to try it. But in Mandarin, it sounds nothing like it. It sounds Xianggang, Xianggang. That's how you say it in Mandarin, Hong Kong. And it in both means the same thing because the characters are the same. It means the port of perfumes. That's how you would translate Hong Kong or Xianggang. But they are, yeah, it's very different languages. Sometimes the Japanese pitch accent is confusing. It is confusing for me as well. And I lived in Japan for 4 years. It's just that it is what it is. And I know that sometimes I F up the pitch, but I would rather communicate. I'll try, I always try to do the pitch right, but there are situations in which I will not know, okay, what's the pitch on this word? I don't let it bother me because some people that focus, I love studying the pitch accent, by the way, but there are some people that focus on it so much that they don't speak. Or if they speak, they are very mechanical because they're like, watashi wa, oh wait, it's haru or haru. Like if you do that, do it on a separate set when you study. But when you speak, switch it off so that whatever happens that you memorized mechanically and now you know, great. If you're confident about the pitch, use it, but don't let it slow you down because you're not a native Japanese anyways. So anything you do, it's good. If you can hit the pitch right and you can say it correctly, that's fantastic. Good. Kudos to you. But you don't have to worry about not hitting it correctly because it's difficult even for native Japanese. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Do put time in it. I think it's a great thing. I love it. I love the pitch. But yeah, I prefer speed and speed, clarity, and the ability to communicate successfully are more important than pitch perfection. But still do it, though, because I love it. Because there will be people on the other side of this discussion that will tell you, nah, pitch is nonsense. You can just pick it up organically. No, you won't. No, you won't. And the people who say that continuously mess up the pitch. So, it's ridiculous. So, no, the pitch is very difficult. You cannot get it organically. You might get some words correctly, but the problem is that they also... What happens is that you'll build a pattern. That's what happened to me. And there will be words that you have an option. Like you could say boku wa as boku is one of the ways to say I, kind of masculine informal. Some people say boku. Some people say boku. They're both fine. I like boku. I like using it with a falling tone. They're both correct. Sometimes you have a choice. Other times you don't. But yeah, no, people, when they say that, it's just because they chose, they don't care about the pitch, and they don't want to feel inferior to people like Dogen, who instead chose to focus on pitch and are objectively masters at doing that. And I have no problem with saying his pitch is superior to mine. Great. So what? So it's like, I think I'm faster at speaking than him, but his pitch is, that's what he said. I don't know if he was being humble though, because he's very humble. But regardless, I think his pitch is more correct. So, and that's great. I admire him for him. I don't need to come up with an excuse and say, pitch is useless. No one cares about the pitch. No, it's not. Pitch makes you sound a lot more authentic, and it's beautiful to hear when the pitch is correct. It's very beautiful. Let's see, what's the difference between... Oh yeah, do they use the same alphabets? It's not an alphabet though, Vain Pride, but what you used to write in Mandarin and Cantonese are characters. They're called hanzi. And basically, yeah, they are ideograms, if you want to use the, I think, proper term. And they are not alphabets. But yeah, in theory, you could write that. It's not always the same, but there are a lot of sentences that you can write the same, but they will read them completely differently. To understand the way characters work, whether it be Mandarin, Cantonese, or Japanese, there is a trick. The way characters are read functions the same way as in our languages, numbers are read. So when you see a word like for, F-O-U-R, you're reading each single letter. That's how an alphabet works. But when you look number 4, you know it mnemonically that symbol is read 4. But there is no F, there is no O. It's just an image that represents something that you recognize as the concept of number 4, and so you know how to pronounce it. That's how characters work. So a drawing that you memorize, you know it means whatever the heck, I don't know, I'm trying to think now of an example. Goodness gracious. Anything really, whatever. It's the telephone, whatever you want. And then, so you know that that's what it means. And then you read it telephone, right? Just like you read number 4. Not only that, which, by the way, denwa in Japanese or 电话 in Chinese are actually quite similar. And or 电视 for a television, it's because there are these characters, what they mean. Interestingly enough, still very similarly to numbers, when it's true that number 4, you read it 4, but if you put it in front of, imagine, if you put a 1 in front of it, then you read it 14. So you change the pronunciation. And that's exactly, arbitrarily, in fact. And that's how it works for characters. That's particularly in Japanese. Oh, they change pronunciation all the time when you mix them with other characters. What makes it extremely difficult is that the Japanese changes that. I mean, that there are thousands of characters that you need to learn in order to be, and then you have different versions of different readings. I personally think that objectively, Japanese is harder to read than Chinese. And the reason is that the characters were invented by the Chinese. And so when the Japanese took them, they took the Chinese Hanzi and turned them into what we now call kanji that they use in Japanese. They took the Japanese language and they forced it inside and encapsulated inside characters that were not designed for the Japanese language. And the reason why you can see that is that in Chinese, readings are more logical. Generally speaking, there are exceptions, but generally speaking, one pronunciation per character. And because Chinese is a mono or bisyllabic language, so either 1 or 2 syllables, bisyllabic maybe, Japanese is not. Because, in Chinese you have sounds like shi, shui, whatever, tai, da, daxue, daxue. You have these sounds, so 1 or 2 syllables. Japanese has got samurai, and they need to fit 4 syllables inside the character. That's not how the characters were designed to function, which is why Japanese is so insane. I'm simplifying it, of course. There are other reasons. They took different readings from different periods in China and different regions of China to add them to the Sino-Japanese reading, which is usually called onyomi, which is based on sound, whereas the kunyomi is based on the original Japanese pronunciation. It's a mess. Japanese is a mess. I love it. It's the one language where I reached fluency among the Asian languages that I've studied, and it's insane. Reading the kanji is insane. Thank you, Jasper Owens, for gifting a membership. So I appreciate you do that a lot during the live stream, so it's really appreciated. So yeah, cool stuff. Could you call Italian and Spanish the same family? Well, of course, yeah, they're part of the Romance family, so sure, we already do that. Totally. They're different, but different languages, but sure, same family. Just like Portuguese, Romanian, and French. These are the major Romance languages. But if you go into regional varieties, then there are hundreds and hundreds of Romance languages. That's a reality. Oh, don't worry, Jasper. You're already doing a lot. Much support for the stream. I appreciate that. And they all derive from Latin, exactly, yeah. Oh, I don't remember what the albums are called for Megadeth. I'm just wearing the shirt because I like it. I'm more of a Metallica guy. Would you teach any Chinese or Japanese history here on YouTube? I've done it. Yeah, I have a lot. I have like 200 videos on Japanese history alone. When it comes to Chinese history, I have a few. I don't know how many, but yeah. Are there other scripts in Japanese? Yeah, they do have. So they have the kanji, and which is the characters, and then they have 2 syllabic alphabets called katakana and hiragana. And so Japanese is written using all 3. Now, if it's a Japanese child, then usually they just write hiragana and then katakana, but generally they don't know many kanji. They know a few, but it takes a Japanese over a decade to actually reach what the Department of Education in Japan considers being able to read and write Japanese, which is about 2,000 kanji. They recently changed it. It was like 1,900 and something. I don't remember the exact number, so I'm going to say 2,000. And it takes them years. So that's why even teenagers, when they read the manga, the characters often have the furigana on the side of it, which is basically the pronunciation suggested in hiragana, which is an alphabet and it's easier to read, particularly if you're like a 13-year-old. You're not going to be able to read a lot of kanji. Many kanji you can, but many other kanjis you can't. And depending on the complexity of the anime and manga, some require you to read characters that you don't learn until high school. And so that's why that happens. But yeah. Oh yeah, furigana is great. Makes everything easier. Now it becomes obsolete after you... Because I did reach the ability to read 2,000 kanji, so at that point I didn't need furigana for a lot of everyday kanji. Like I used to text with the Japanese or send emails in Japanese, and it was not a problem. Although occasionally you'll still run into a kanji and you're like, wait, what the heck was that? And then you need to look it up. But this happens to natives too. It's a difficult one. I'll stick to English and Italian for now. Sounds good, Jasper. Totally. Yeah. Romanian here. Love your channel. Thank you, Tomato. I'll just call you Tomato. Appreciate that. It is very complicated, kanji, but at the end of the day, it's also a form of cultural and artistic expression. So I think they should keep them. I think not to mention that both Japanese and Chinese, the reason why they began using characters, the original reason was because, remember, similarly to Europe and the West, in medieval period, in ancient in antiquity, who was the most educated class? The upper class, and then monastic classes. These are the people that read and write, right? And then a lot of the population, even in Europe, didn't know how to read and write. Now this varies region to region, period to period, but as a general idea, the people that were very educated were clergy and nobles, right? And that's control of information and therefore control of power over the masses. Similarly, in Asia, this happened because, of course, if you have a very complicated writing system, you can write a letter and send it to the governors in the southern provinces, for instance, and if the letter gets intercepted by your enemy, they can't read it. So control of information, in that case, even brought to a crazy level because people they couldn't read anything, is one of the reasons why I believe in Imperial China, it evolved that way. And then the other reason is because Chinese and Japanese as languages have a monstrous amount of words that sound the same. And so, of course, context usually is king. It's similar to like in English, when you say the word spirits, you could mean souls, like ghosts, or you could mean alcohol, usually 95 degrees percentage, 95% alcohol. And which one do you mean? If I just say spirits, you can't know. Of course, if I say, hey, let's walk around, but please don't enter that house, it's full of spirits, I know it sounds a little weird, but we can understand it's haunted. But what if the person speaking is someone who just came from an AA meeting? That context will be like, maybe he doesn't want to go there because it's too much of a temptation. So context helps us identify meaning when there is, when a word is polysemic. That's the term. So same word, same sound has multiple meanings. The problem is that when it comes to Asian languages, yeah, if your house is a distillery, exactly. When it comes to Asian languages, they have words like the word shi in Chinese has over 60 possible translation. So if you draw it, then you know which one it is, 100%. And even when they speak, both the Japanese and the Chinese, and I say that because, again, I lived in Asia. You know what they do sometimes? If they use a word and it's still not clear, regardless of the context, it's still not clear, they will draw the character in the air. They do that, which is funny because I can entertain that. If someone tells me, oh, it's this character here, and they draw it, and I can recognize it, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what you mean, I'm fine. But I had a colleague of mine, still from Italy, who couldn't read kanji. So when they did that to him, it was like, no, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're on about. So yeah. Do I like Windrose? I don't know what that is. Yeah, house is a distillery, exactly. Exactly. And Skunesi writes, sono ie wa, that house. That's what that translates, yeah. So, yeah. Yondei nai indakedo, you're reading, okay, yeah, you're writing. And so it's good fun. Hey there from Brazil, hey Samuel. I'm really intrigued and fascinated by the Chinese language. I love Mandarin, specifically, but in general, yeah, me too, I love it. It's a great language. I love the sound of it. Who's your favorite Chinese character from literature? Mine is Cao Cao. I don't remember the tones for that one. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know if I'll have to think about it. It's been a while since I looked into literature. Hey Craig, so good to have you here. Languages are so fascinating. We can predict how they evolved, yeah, and can use that to uncover ancient stories. We call that phylogenetics, my favorite subject. That is fascinating indeed. Absolutely. Yeah. People like Confucius, yeah, sure. Sure. Very nice. We should go back to speaking Latin. You know, some people do. There are currently around 14,000 speakers of Latin worldwide. So it is a language that is spoken. One of these, for instance, is Luke Ranieri from Polymathy Channel. He's one of these speakers, excellent speaker, of course. So what I mean by that is that it's not just priests at the Vatican. It's actually people that are interested and they go into these campuses, is that the plural? And they practice spoken Latin. I think it's fascinating. Dead language, yeah, but I don't think you need to know what dead language means, because sometimes people say it's a dead language and they think it means that no one speaks it. That's wrong. A dead language, by definition, is not a language that no one speaks. It's a language that doesn't have native speakers. So, yes, Latin is a dead language. You can still speak it up to fluency, 100%. It's going to be a lot harder because you can't go to a country and just speak Latin to everyone naturally. So you need to kind of find these groups where you can practice it and speak it. And I mean, I suppose this could be one of the ways in which general language models, AI, could be used for practicing. Like I do that, for instance. I do speak to ChatGPT. Sometimes I'll tell it, hey, let's speak some Mandarin. Other times, hey, let's speak some Japanese. It's a good way because the language models are phenomenal. They're really good at doing that. So yeah, Tomato says chefach. Yeah, bean. In vino veritas, in cerveza gaudium. That's funny. I never checked their Latin. So what I'm saying about ChatGPT, I don't know. It speak Latin? I don't actually know. Would be interesting to see if it does, if you can switch and ask to use ecclesiastical pronunciation or classical pronunciation. That could be fascinating to check. Yeah. Gaudium. Oh, there you go. Yeah. We know where it is. Oh, you're Irish, Skunesi. I see. Very cool. I got a bunch of Irish friends. They always crack me up. Irish have a great sense of humor, at least in my experience. Good sports as well. Video rating AI models Latin. Now, you know what I would like to do? I think today we'll do it. I want to look for clips of the new Pope speaking all the languages that I read that he can speak, and then we can rate him. We can see how well he speaks. So I'm sure there is. I mean, he's a native English speaker. We don't need to rate that one. But like, I heard that he speaks Italian. He speaks Latin. He speaks Spanish. I think I read someone saying that he speaks Portuguese, but I don't know if it's true or if people are just talking out of their behind. So we'll check it. I think I'll do that today. We can judge the Pope, linguistic ability. We can do that. Yeah. Isn't Italian technically just modern Latin? I mean, maybe, but like you would have to also say, depends how you classify it, but then, no, I wouldn't say so. It's because it's one of the many languages that derived from Latin. There are many. And in fact, Italian is not even the closest to Latin, and it's not the most conservative language. The most conservative language is specifically not only the Sardinian regional variety, but to be specific, the northern version of Sardinian, because the southern variety is not as conservative towards Latin. So that would be the closest language to, and still, it's a separate language. It would be saying like, I guess you do say it like English. Is English modern Anglo-Saxon? I mean, difficult to say also because with all the influence from Norman French, then it's very different. That's why, in fact, I can't understand a word. Well, I can understand a few words, but if you listen to Anglo-Saxon being spoken, which is what we call Old English, it's Anglo-Saxon. It's very difficult. It's much more Germanic. You could tell. Because English is a Germanic language. It is, even though 40% of vocabulary comes from Latin, it's still a Germanic language. And yeah. True, Jarl, I agree. English is fascinating. When I was a teenager, I was like, no, I want to know English, I want to learn English. And that's why I kind of moved to the UK. And before doing that, I was taking some classes, extra curriculum classes in English, because I really loved the idea of, not only being able to play games, watch movies with the original actors, but also the idea of being able to communicate with Americans, with English, Australians, Kiwis, and all the rest. So I was really happy, very excited. And after I reached fluency in English, that's when I was like, now I need to know Japanese. Now I need to know Japanese. And so that's when I went to university, did my first year of Japanese. And then in second year, the university allowed you to select a third language, because I was doing English and Japanese, right? And it allowed you to select a third language. And that's when I picked Mandarin, because then it fascinated me. Before that, I didn't care. I was like, no, Japanese. But then I had to pick this third language anyways. And so I was like, yeah, I'll try. And I went to this single class of Mandarin, and I was so fascinated by it. I'm like, ooh, I'm doing Mandarin. And so I did that as the third. That was during the second year of studies, yeah. I think the next Romance language I'd like to try and learn would be Portuguese. Well, Epsilon Sama, it's a good question you're asking. As someone who studied languages, can you explain why it's easier for me as Spanish speaker to understand Italian or other modern Romance languages than Latin? Because Latin is a lot more complicated. Not to mention, but there are centuries and centuries of distance between modern Spanish, your first language, and now Latin it was, right? So not only has cases, and it's a lot more complex from a grammatical perspective and syntax and whatnot, but again, there is a massive gap in time. There isn't that much gap in time between modern Italian and modern Spanish, and therefore it's a lot closer. Yeah, that's what it is. I appreciate that. Thank you, y'all. Sometimes I F up the pronunciation of words in English, but hey, I try to do my best. Usually I pronounce things right, but sometimes I completely mess up, and then I find all the comments. And I find all the comments, and people are like, it's not like this, it's pronounced like that. I always appreciate it. You know what? It's a good way to improve. It's an opportunity to improve. We never learn. We never stop to learn. We never stop learning. What's your opinion on Paul as a Christian? Yeah, I mean, Paul is not. It's my least favorite of all the. The early. Is my least favorite. Is what it is. Yeah, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. You're right. I'm a monolingual English speaker. Remember exactly, CRB. That's what I've been accused of being a few times. So that's right. Everything else is a script. When I speak Italian, script. Sicilian, script. Is it easy to forget a language, says John? So usually in my experience, you never really stop being able to understand a language once you have reached a very high level, or if you're native. But you can become rusty and slow if you stop practicing for many years. That can absolutely happen, which is why sometimes I'll just out of the blue I'll speak to myself and I'll speak in Japanese because I don't want to lose it. Of course, I'm never going to lose English because I use it for recording every day and for live streams and whatnot, but I don't do that with Japanese or the other languages. And so I always try to either find ways to practice it, as I was saying, ChatGPT sometimes, or I'll just speak to myself. It's a muscle, and so it can sort of it can deteriorate totally if you don't use it. Metatron Japanese channel. Believe it or not, I have one, but I just never post on it. I posted a couple of videos. I thought of doing it, but I never have the time. Because I don't have the time because I've given priority to other projects that I believe have a higher potential. I skip on purpose comments that are all caps. So I'm not going to read your comment if you keep all capping, just so you know. Do you? So how do you find motivation to do stuff when you don't feel like doing them? For me, music helps a lot. So when I'm not in it, usually I don't have a problem with that. I have a lot of willpower. So yeah, I'm like that. I've always been like that. So I understand that maybe you won't be able to relate if you're a person who instead struggles. I don't. I'm like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. That's how I am. But when it does happen that I'm not as motivated, usually music bridges the gap for me. So I have a selection of musics that I have saved on a page, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And that happens with me sometimes with working out. Like if it's a day and I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to do push-ups right now, then I'll put the right music and it puts me in the right space of mind, and that usually helps me. Yeah. Do you or have you ever ended up automatically reverting to Italian right after you woke up or when you're tired? Sure, yeah, it happens sometimes. Yeah. Believe it or not, it happens with Japanese too. Sometimes I switch to Japanese. It usually though it happens when if I watch, because I do watch quite a few content creators from Japan, just out of nostalgia. And also, to keep the vocabulary updated if the youth come up with new expressions that I wouldn't know. And so sometimes if I watch a lot of those, I might end up saying something in Japanese to my wife, and then and then she's like, "What?" It can happen. Is your wife learning Italian? Yes, she is. She's been working on it a lot. I think she's doing really well. So yeah. どちら音楽が好きですか? What do you mean? Because are you trying to say? Because it's a bit incorrect for the grammar for that Japanese sentence. Are you trying to ask what type of music you like? Maybe, or music from where? Is that what you're trying to ask? Oh, don't worry. Don't apologize. I'm just saying it so that you know. So you want to know from where music? It depends. Kind of depends on my mood, really. I love, as I say, old school heavy metal, but there will be days in which I just feel more like listening to some Italian or Japanese rock. I love Japanese rock. Really good. What is wrong with Paul? Yeah, we could talk a lot about Paul, but I would rather prepare it rather than improvise and just tell you what I don't like about Paul. I would rather have it organized into a scripted video. Yeah. So there's that. No, not particularly. Epsilon Sama. Yeah, I can still think that though. Epsilon Sama. I'm not a Paulist. I'm a Christian. So to me, what Christ says is the law. I could never disagree, because to me, he's literally a God. But all the apostles and everyone, Pope, whatever you want, still humans. So you can agree or disagree. At least that's my position. So I don't worship humans. I don't elevate humans to a position where I'm like, oh no, I can't. No, nope. Apology. Yeah, apologies. Oh, that's good. That's good, Joshua. That is pretty good. What variety of Spanish, asks Pablo, do you find the easiest to understand? Argentinian Spanish. And then the second will be Spain Spanish. But the easiest for me, and I've tested this on my language channel, has always been Argentinian Spanish, that I can understand usually up to 85% of what they say, and I will miss a few things, but I understand it easily. Whereas like if someone is from Chile, I start to struggle a bit, or other areas in South America. Hi. Hi, welcome. Ooh, we got some food, guys. We got a delivery. We got a delivery. And it's not just cheese this time. Look at that. I got a soda.
Everybody.
I got a soda. What did we
So
get? Wow.
we have burgers with grilled onions, and this is like a like a mustard sauce. It's really good, and then potatoes.
Hey, that's great. That's great. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. We got a burger, guys.
And then Chick-fil-A sauce.
And Chick-fil-A sauce. Oh, it's good. Chick-fil-A sauce is great. I love la fidanzata. No, mia moglie. Fidanzata before. Because fidanzata in Italian means
Fiance.
fiance. Yeah, it was 3 years ago. 3.5 years ago, yeah.
Okay, I love you. If you don't want to eat it now, you don't have to.
Oh, no, of
but you can
course. Yeah,
just-
I'll eat it in a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate.
Bye, chat. I'm gonna go eat.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Just be careful.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, you have a wonderful woman. I agree, Eyal. I'm very lucky. True USA meal. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Ciao, Metal. Hail, hail the cheese bringer. Daniel Edwards, you crack me up, man. The cheese bringer. Man, that makes it sound epic. The cheese bringer. As an Italian, what's your opinion on the Sardinian language? I remember reading that it's, yeah. It's a fascinating language. It's difficult to understand though. Like I don't understand it when they speak it. No idea. Mandatory choking warning. Yep. Yeah, you know that. Absolutely. I'm gonna eat it while we watch something so that it becomes. It's kind of funny. All my React videos are gonna turn like last React video I'm eating pasta. This React video I'm having a burger. I'm gonna be the React the guy who does React videos when he eats. But hey, you know, it's one of those things. The burger it looks really good. Yeah, that's from HelloFresh, by the way. Non-sponsored in this case, but just to show you that it is true. I've been sponsored by HelloFresh a few times. In fact, we want to contact them again and see if they either want to sponsor us through Factor or through directly HelloFresh meals because we always use HelloFresh and we pay for it. We've been doing it for 5 years. So food review channel when please don't give me any ideas. So yeah, that's it. That's it. That's HelloFresh right there. And again, I'm not being paid to say this. So this is kind of me speaking about a sponsor outside of a sponsored and contract agreement. So you know that I'm saying what I actually 100% think without any filters, because I still tell you what I think when I make sponsorships, but there is a filter because they need to review how I said it, what I said. It's how it is. It sponsors. Every YouTuber knows that there are some ideas, some things they don't want you to say, some things they want you to say. They don't want you to mention their competitors. Like there are rules, right? Because you're being paid to offer a service. Apparently, we love HelloFresh. We love it. Metatron reaction, munch, munch, munch. That's it. That's it. Pizza's based, absolutely. USS Liberty, what is it? Some kind of ship, warship? My mic dropped out a few seconds there. What does that mean? By the way, we don't need the text, I think, anymore because I made the point. We'll bring the text back in a little bit. It's funny because some of the people that had problems, like I see oftentimes when I do HelloFresh sponsorships, and then some people will be like, "Oh, HelloFresh is a scam," and I'm like, "It's not a scam. They literally. Why do you have to call scam everything? You don't want it, don't like the service, don't order it, you know. But why are you calling it a scam? It's not a scam. And you know me. I mean, yeah. If a sponsorship is a scam, I don't take the sponsorship. HelloFresh is objectively not a scam. And then people say, yeah, it's a scam. I've seen this YouTuber saying this as well. He was like, oh, HelloFresh is bad because you could literally just go to the supermarket and get all the meals and then download these recipes. And I'm like, exactly. And I don't want to do that. I'm busy. So they send me the whole thing, just put it in the fridge, everything organized, everything packaged, all the food, the quality is high. The recipes are fantastic, by the way. Yeah, I don't want to do that, which is why I enjoy the fact. And then it becomes a little bit because it's all nice and organized with the, instructions. And then with my wife, not today because she did it on her own since I'm live streaming, but sometimes if it's a Saturday, we'll cook together and it's fine. I cut the carrots, she washes this, and I do that. And it's fun, and then we have a great meal. If you don't want to do that, don't do it. But at least don't use it's silly to be angry. I think it's a good service. We like it. Mayo plus ketchup. Yeah, I love mayo plus ketchup. In Italian, we call that salsa rosa, which means pink sauce. But now that term has been hijacked from TikTok. And when you say pink sauce, people think of the whole crazy controversy that happened with the YouTuber, not YouTuber, sorry, the TikToker, who was like making and selling this pink sauce, but she had no training whatsoever, and she basically bypassed all forms of food safety, and the food spoiled and was not packaged properly, and she would just privately ship them, and people were getting stuff with mold. It was insane. I'm having a chip. Chips are great. Interesting question, letter. If you say you do not elevate humans, but yet you elevate a human to God, considering Jesus was a human, how do you reconcile this? As a Christian, for me, he wasn't just a human. He was both. So that's the thing. He was a human as well, yes, because from a Christian perspective, Jesus is God in human form. But he's not just a human if you're a Christian. If you're not a Christian, he's just a human. Or if you're a mythicist, he didn't even exist. I, of course, respect any position you may have on the matter. But mine, as a Christian, is that he is a human and a God. So as a human, he was mortal, he was tempted, he had to eat, he had to drink, but as a God, he could be resurrected, he could walk on water, he could perform miracles, and so he has both aspects. And the way I like seeing this is a bit like, in a video game sense, if a video game's maker creates a video game, Skyrim, and then the programmer creates a character and downloads into the game to show the other players how it's done. To me, that's how God becomes a human. That's how I see it. And basically, Jesus would be God's avatar in this reality that we are experiencing. Patatine, 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 says Baby Yoda. Appreciate that. The Roman tortoise, so the testudo, versus English bowman. Ooh. I don't know. I mean, an English longbow, could English longbow penetrate a Roman scutum? I'm going to guess yes. Man, that would be a fantastic thing to test, but an actual full power longbow, like Mary Rose bows, 140 pounds draw weight. I don't know, man. I'm starting to think it's probably going to go through that thing. Now, could it go through the scutum and the armor the Roman is wearing? Man, this would need some testing, right? Yeah. Good evening. Do you plan on streaming Doom the Dark Ages tomorrow? Ooh, is it coming out tomorrow? If it's coming out tomorrow, then yeah, I'll download it. I'll probably stream it, sure. Not an NPC, Jeremy, in my analogy. Literally the game creator. It would be like Todd Howard, but if he knew how to not get bugs in the game. HelloFresh is good. I use it as dinner. Yeah. Hey, Legato, good to have you here. Exactly, 13th century. That would be the analogy. Now, of course, you can believe or not, but at least let's steelman whoever it is that you're having a debate or a discussion with. Let's steelman the arguments first, and then you can agree or disagree. So, yeah. Exactly. Exactly, Knight Percival. Yeah, that's the idea. Maybe I'll make a video, because if I script it, I think I could flesh out the analogy much better than an improvised little discussion we're having out of the blue during a live stream. Lindy Beige collab when, Raf? I'm always open, Chris. Yeah, I like Lindy Beige. In fact, he texted me yesterday. He sent me a message yesterday, but I was out with my wife, taking her to lunch, because he was trying to figure out how to use OBS. And so I'm quite experienced with OBS, and so I told him, hey, if you need my help, I'd be more than happy. And so he said, yeah, I do need your help, but I couldn't help him out yesterday because I was out half of the day, and the rest I did an 8 hours live stream. But today, after the live stream is over, I'll probably send him a message and see if he still needs help with the best settings for OBS. Because OBS is fun. You can do a lot of things. Like, look, How did you like that? And then we can do this. And then, of course, we can put ourselves top right, and I still have Max Miller there. And then for my gaming streams, I have this one prepared, where like I can still entertain and talk to chat, but then I show you what games. This hasn't been updated. It's from the other night live stream, but I show you what games we're gonna play, so that people, because I noticed that people, when I do my gaming streams, they always ask, "What game are we playing? What game are we playing?" And since I usually enjoy entertaining the chat a little bit before we start playing, usually depends on the night, I noticed that if I just put it on screen, that those are the games you're playing, guy. Those are the games you're playing. So yeah, no, it's OBS is great. Are we playing some games today? Maybe later, but it's fun. Yeah, it's fancy. It's good stuff. Yeah, and you can add a lot of stuff with OBS. And once you set it up, and by the way, we are multi-streaming right now, and I'm both on Twitch and on YouTube. Exactly, saying Nicholas on Twitch. That's my, yeah. And so yeah, I'd like to play Epsilon Sama Expedition 33. Everyone speaks about it. They say it's a phenomenal game, and I'm really intrigued. I'm really intrigued because it sounds like right up my street, or right up my alley, if you will. So yeah. OBS is on Steam. I didn't know that. I'm glad you're a fish, Craig. So yeah, no, people have been telling me about Kick, but I don't know anything about Kick. Now, in theory, it wouldn't be difficult to add Kick as well, and multi-stream on 3 separate platforms. But then again, I don't want to spread too thin. But what's the? I mean, if Kick reached out to me and offered me money to start working, producing content on their platform too and streaming, then I would do it if the offer is good. But out on my own right now, I think I'm good with Twitch and YouTube. Kick is controversial because they promote gambling. Yeah, we'll have to see how that works. But I mean, these days, everything is freaking controversial. I just know Metatron is a good pianist. I'm a little rusty, but I still play. Just the other day, my wife was out. I was just letting the dogs out. And then on the way back, I thought, hey, let me do a little 10 minutes of piano. It was fun. I don't catch the Metaman live often. Well, Wolf Blitzer, there is a solution to that, and it's this. Boom. Live, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. CDT, Central Daylight Time, so that you know when it happens, and it's easier to catch it, unless you're busy. You're working maybe at that time. So yeah. The only instrument you can play is the kazoo. How do I deal with haters? I laugh. I mean it. I'm not trying to be cheeky or anything. How do I deal with haters? Yeah, I laugh. So when of course, if they make a whole video, then if it's a good opportunity for drama, I'll make a response video so I monetize their hate. Alternatively, if they just write comments, then yeah, I laugh. I noticed that laughing removes because before using this technique, what I used to do is just read comments, and then if it was like horrible, it would make me angry because, righteous indignation and whatnot, and that's not good. It's giving power to your haters. Instead, I noticed that if I literally laugh out loud when I read the comments, it kind of makes my day. It kind of blocks, it prevents me from getting upset, and that really works. And then occasionally I'll make compilation videos when I read the hateful comments, monetized again. And so that if that video goes well, and sometimes it does, then very nice. I paid some bills thanks to my haters. Great. Absolutely not. Yeah, because sometimes we get really upset as creators and even as people watching, because maybe you read something and you're thinking, man, that's such a horrible thing to say. Why would someone say it? And the reason is sometimes people say it because they're actual sociopaths. And you have to consider that possibility. If it's an actual sociopath, why are we expecting them to behave like us, the rest of us? It's a sociopath. Just laugh about it and they can get on with a toxic life. Other times, it might be someone a bit young. So if it's like a kind of a kid and they type something, I don't know their age, and I'm like, yeah, why am I engaging with at that point it's stupid. And then the third situation that I noticed is that sometimes people will write nasty stuff because something really bad happened to them. And this happened to me once. A person wrote a hateful comment. I replied with dignity, and he replied back. He apologized and said he had just lost his sister. So it's not a justification to be hateful, but it is something that I do keep in mind, that I don't know what's behind a specific hateful comment. So yeah, sometimes you can tell. Like, sometimes you can tell this guy is objectively toxic. Yeah, great. When I can see that, I take it, make a compilation video, get maybe 300,000 views, make a good amount of money, and they can go to hell. But there are other situations when I read it and I'm like, I don't know, this feels like there's something behind it. I'll just laugh, because I still laugh, and just let it go. So it kind of depends. When it's YouTubers, then, like, you know, I've responded to a few that are objectively dishonest, horrible people. Then my previous policy used to be to ignore them. My new policy is I'll make a reaction video, we'll make some drama, and I'll make money off of it. Yeah. Also, because I think at that point is your right to defend your name. Because oftentimes when they're like this, they don't attack your arguments, they attack you directly, and it's defamatory in nature, and so that happens. Thank you, Alcuin. If you ever stopped streaming, what would you do instead? Maybe teach at a university or something? No, teaching used to be my job. I didn't teach at university. I used to teach. I used to teach teachers how to teach. That's one thing. I used to train teachers, and then I taught in all forms of schools all the way up to high school. But no, I wouldn't teach. I think there are better options, like maybe because right now I'm trying to become an author and trying to publish. Of course, I don't have a lot of slots, but if I had to stop streaming completely, probably I would reutilize those slots to increase the amount of time I can spend into writing, because I think that career could have a much higher potential due to the fact that I have some reach with these platforms, and I think that would ultimately have a higher chance of bringing in better revenue for the family. And then if I still have a couple of hours, I'll just play, my friend. I'll just play. But I hope that I can continue streaming, because I really enjoy it. Yeah, Dominems are usually very cheap. You're right. Thank you, Nicholas. Teacher of teachers. Yeah, I used to be a trainer of teachers. Hello from North Texas. Hello, Jake. How are you guys doing on Twitch? Metatron Fantasy Book when? Eventually. We'll get there. We will. So, yeah. A release date for the poll video? How could I have a release date for the poll video if it's something we've just spoken about? No, I don't. And I it doesn't really have priority right now over other things. I'll probably make it. I'll leave it at that. I'll probably make it, but no idea when. No. I understand you ask because you're very interested, of course. I appreciate that, but wish my son had a teacher like you, honestly. I appreciate that, Random. Thank you. Then again, I have him watch your videos, so you kind of are. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you. What sort of burger is that? I think it's a cheeseburger with onions. Nice. Cheeseburger with onions, guys. Yeah, so by the way, since I kind of want to eat this burger, how about what video we're going to react to tonight? Because when I eat, I react, usually. That's the new thing. So one of the options is Max Miller. What other options do we have? Do you guys know of any interesting video that came out recently? Here in New Zealand, and might add some beetroot to that as well. Hey, whatever floats your boat. Yeah, I do want to eat the burger, yeah. Where is Miss Metatron? She's downstairs. Honestly, I think she's cleaning right now, because I can hear a lot of moving of dishes because she cooked dinner. 食べますね。はい。食べます。So yeah. Oh yeah, Knight versus Samurai from Nequiter. Knight versus... How about we check that one out? 1 month ago. Yeah, oh, fantastic views. I'm very happy. It's 2 minutes though, so it's very short. So we'll watch it and interrupt it for 2 minutes, and then I'll give my opinion. by then I'll probably be halfway through the burger anyways. So yeah, we can do that, and then we can skip and jump onto another one. Yeah, we can do that. It's good. We should make a cheese video at one point, 100%. Okay, let's see what let's do an analysis of what of this production by Dequiteng. Let's have a look. Of course, go subscribe to the channel, guys, if you haven't. If this is the first time you're here, you look at that armor. You should totally check him out. All right, so what have we got? We have got Knight versus Samurai, realistic, non-choreographed medieval combat, Iron Mountain Armory. Okay, guys, for those of you who haven't watched it, please don't spoil. Who's going to win? You're subbed? That's good. Who's going to win? My money's on the Knight, but we don't know. My money's on the Knight, though. Let's see. Let's see who's going to win. Let's give it nice. Yeah, that's interesting ratio. Yeah, totally. Let's go. Man, that was hard. That was hardcore. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no. They're both on the ground. Hey, the Knight one. That was a close one, yeah, yeah. Equitem is awesome.
Knappe! Kom her! Knappe! Hierher!
Oh no! Man, that was good. All right, let's examine this and then I finish the burger. All right, let's examine this second time. This time we examine it, we dissect it. I love the helmet, by the way. I have a helmet. It's an armet. I have a similar armet. These were very popular for, I believe, 20 foot combat. And there is one that looks a lot like this in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Yeah, that's a fantastic shot. So the samurai has got a katana, but I saw that he has a wakizashi somewhere here. I think you can see it here. So they're both armed like that. He has got a long sword, so of course he's going to have some reach advantage, and he has got a rondella. Personally, I think a rondella dagger would be better to deal with someone in armor than the wakizashi, but the wakizashi is also perfectly capable as a kind of close combat weapon. So they're both armed well. Let's see. Nice. So he's starting in high guard, Jodan no Kamae. Usually in samurai combat, in some of the Japanese manuals, this when you're fighting in full armor, you tend to avoid this guard sometimes. I personally like it. It's my favorite guard. But if if I was here fighting dressed as a samurai against him, I would probably start with a hasso, which is a little lower, and the disc of the guard of the katana, it's actually at the same height as your ear, like this, because I find it to be a position that is a little easier to begin from. That's just me. Let's see how he starts. I think in a low guard, is that right? Oh, he also has, okay, yeah, he started with kind of a, all right. So he's transitioning, no, so he began, that's actually a very good, in Japanese swordsmanship, you see this a lot. One will have the high guard, and the other one will have the seidan, so like the front guard. I think it's called plow in Hima. It's actually a very good idea because he could try to stab him in the face, for instance, or hit one of his hands. His hands are much better protected, by the way, with the gauntlets than his hands. So you chop off a couple of fingers here if you're not careful as the samurai. Low guard. Nice. He's also transitioning to a low. Gedan, of course. Not even. It's kind of a, I can't really see it. Kind of a half swording technique. Nice riposte. He got hit on the arm. That was a stabbing, very dangerous, because the knight could have stabbed him in the throat. Now, he does have some protection for the throat, but it's not a great protection. Usually, European protection for the throat is superior to Japanese. Japanese works, but things could also go terribly wrong. Very nice. Boom. Okay, he hit him hard on the side. Of course, the armor protected. Oh, that was beautiful. I didn't notice that. Did you see that? Wait, did it twist? Boom, and goes with the momentum. And did actually place a hit on the leg. I don't know if he got hit back, but that was actually beautifully executed. Usually, I often say the pirouettes don't work, but the way he did it was so natural. I think that was actually pretty good. He just went with the flow, didn't he? Let me see. Yeah, look. He is exposed, so I guess there could be a counter, but that was pretty nice. Very well executed. Yeah, you don't need to add da on the word utsukushi. You could just say utsukushi without da in there. And he did do it. He did respond, but I don't know if he only ever so slightly, it seems, touched the breastplate. Awesome scene, yeah. There is a lot of slashing against the armor. I think the idea is that you're using your slashes, but at one point you will transition into something that could actually, with stabbing and whatnot. So I think what they're doing is fine. Also, because if you get hit by a longsword on the side of the kabuto, for example, it might still hurt. These guys are going full force. Okay, so now he's transitioning to half swording, and yeah, unless he does something similar, he will have the advantage. Boom, so that was excellent intercept. That was like, it's crazy that this is not choreographed. Of course, I believe in 100% because that was executed just like the treaties say. It was an excellent interception. And then boom. Okay, then they start wrestling. They would both be very capable, historically. Samurai studies jujitsu. Some of you said jujutsu. So he knows how to do that. But so would a knight. So they both are excellent, and the idea would be to try and take the opponent to the ground and then subdue them. Right now, this is a very dangerous moment. He tried to swipe his leg. The samurai reacted well. That was an excellent transition. They're both on the ground, get up, getting tired, of course, because this is very physical. And this was great. Now, the side are very well, like he's not going to penetrate plate. He's not going to penetrate way. But the fact that he tried makes sense because he could have gone through under his armpit where there is only male, and the armpit is a direct route to the heart. So what the samurai just tried was good. He just missed the target and hit the breastplate, which did nothing. He has the rondel. Ooh, that could have been to the face. Yeah, that is to the face. He ended him like that. And yeah, GG for the knight. GG for the knight. That was great. I really liked it. Yeah, there are absolutely grappling techniques in the treatises, 100%. And in Europe, and I'm sure the knights were pretty good at doing that kind of combat. It is very, very good video. Yeah, I think they did a great job. Yeah, you see, he did get stabbed under the armpit. So maybe he didn't miss. I looked like he hit him in the cuirass, but if he's holding under the armpit, then it means that the wakizashi stab was actually well executed. Yeah, it got him too, exactly. There is a risk. The knight will be aware.
Knapper!
I don't know what he said, but the knight will
Come
be
here!
aware. I think he said, "Come here." Would be aware of the weak spots of his armor, and so would the samurai.
Knapper!
Yep,
Yeah!
very cool. He's calling for his squire, yeah, of course, and he collapses. This is great. This is great, man. He does such a good job when he does these. Very accurate, yeah. But the other one is actually gone. The other one is dead. The other one, I think he got stabbed in the face. Yeah, you don't recover from that. I loved it. I loved it. This was absolutely great. This was great. Very good. Okay, so since I want to finish the burger, how about we check out... Oh, he does have food for the conclave. Okay, then of course he knows what he's doing. I'm actually curious now. He did do it. Max Miller is the man. I was wrong thinking that he didn't do it. He did. He capitalized on it. And in fact, 1 million views. I respect well-executed strategy, Max. I'm curious now. I need to know. What does the Pope eat? What would the Pope eat? Let's go. Let's go. I'm actually excited. I don't even know why. Let's go.
After a pope dies, there is a process to elect a new pope called the conclave. Essentially, all of the cardinals are locked away until they vote on a new pope. But they still gotta eat. And historically, that has been quite the problem.
And so do I. Here I am. Yeah, he's correct. Conclave comes from Latin conclave, with a key.
A process I'll tell you about as I make this dish of ribs served at one of the most infamous conclaves in history. So thank you to Wild Grain for sponsoring this video as we feed the papal conclave, this time on Tasting History. Clausi cum clave, or closed with a key. That is where the term conclave comes from because the cardinals are actually locked away until they can...
My man.
Decide on which of them is going to be the next pope. And the process has changed a little bit over the centuries, but much of it is still the same. But one aspect that has definitely changed is the food that is served to them. Today, the cardinals are fed modern meals, like in 2013, they received meals of soup, spaghetti, small meat kebabs, and boiled vegetables. And those meals were prepared by nuns.
Right.
Spaghetti, small meat kebabs, and boiled
soup, spaghetti, probably proper spaghetti, small meat kebabs. Really? Man, could you imagine the conclave eating kebab? I did not see that coming. I was expecting pizza and pasta, which, I mean, given spaghetti, but man, the cardinals are eating that kebab. Isn't that like coming from the opposition? Anyways, boiled vegetables, cool. And it's from Corriere della Sera. Man, I haven't heard that. It's a publication that comes out, I think, every evening or so. In Italy, it's basically a newspaper. Yeah, we used to have that, Corriere della Sera. Every household almost in Italy reads that. It's a very popular one. Whew. You know what? It's the kebab that fuels the cardinals that make the Pope, apparently.
Vegetables. And those meals were prepared by nuns. But in the 16th century, there was an entire army of cooks dedicated to feeding them, and they were led by one of the world's first celebrity chefs, Bartolomeo Scappi. And in his cookbook, known as the Opera, he detailed the preparations made for the conclave of 1549. Now today, the business of the conclave takes place in the Sistine Chapel, but in 1549, it took place in the nearby Pauline Chapel, as the Sistine Chapel was being used as a dormitory for some...
That is so beautiful. I mean, the art is absolutely breathtaking. I would like to say, though, for what he just said, he said that the nuns make the food. Did the nuns make the kebab? I thought Abdul did down the street, but apparently it's the nuns. Who would have thought?
Some of the cardinals. This and several other rooms around the Sistine Chapel were partitioned off with wood partitions that were draped in green or purple cloth. And then inside of these 16.5 by 16.5 foot rooms, the cardinals were sequestered, and they would have a bed and a few other accoutrements, but it was pretty sparse. And for the most part, they ate all of their meals in these cells. They did not eat together for most of the conclave. Rather, they would have stewards bring food from the kitchens to the cells. And they would bring them in these hampers, which carried hot food from the kitchen, and then there was a tub that was filled with cold food from the credenza. And since Scapi's opera has all of the recipes that would have been served to the cardinals at the time, I decided to choose one for this episode. But I was barred from many of them because the conclave took place during winter, so...
Credenza, he used that term in Italian. It means basically like a cupboard. A credenza, well, credenza has multiple meanings, but it's, yeah, you could translate it as like a cupboard. Yeah.
Basically, there were no fresh fruits or vegetables, and that X's out a lot of the recipes. And I also decided to steer away from some of the harder to find meats, like porcupine, cow eyes, and peacock. And instead, I opted for papal baby back ribs, as Scapi includes instructions for different ways to cook the back ribs of a domestic pig. If the pig is young, the ribs can be roasted on the spit with the rind or without, and with onions split in the pan, which are cooked with the fat that drips from the meat as it cooks. And before it is put on the spit, it is sprinkled with salt and ground coriander seed. You could also let the ribs stand in a marinade of vinegar, grape must syrup, garlic cloves, and coriander, and then cook it on the spit in the above way.
Okay, listen, I love this. It sounds great, the food. However, I hate the word spit. I know exactly the spike thing of metal where I know what it is. I just can't take it out. I don't know, guys. We got a petition for a removal. Let's call it a spite. Let's add an e, yeah, and let's switch it because it just ruins it for me. Yeah, I wonder if they ever order McDonald's. Could you imagine if they order I mean, they might as well. They could order a McDonald's and or a split, yeah, a split. That cool. Yeah, a spike. We could call it a spike. You know what I mean? A pike of food. Yeah, pike. Actually, pike sounds good. Like a wall of pikes. That can be nice. So yeah, he pronounces pretty well. His Italian was on point. On point, guys. Yeah, we should. I vote for spike. We should call it, like, imagine this. And before it is put on the spike, it is sprinkled with salt and ground coriander seed. And then, and then cook it on the spike in the above way. That's the way to do it, guys. That's the way to do it. I petition. The queen is dead, so we need to ask the king, I suppose. Let's petition to the king and see if we can change that. Right? Actually, no, we shouldn't do that. We should ask that, because if we do that with the king, then the Americans are not going to do it because the British are doing it. And because, Americans are pretty proud of not having to do anything the crown says anymore, Independence Day and whatnot. So how about we petition to the President of the United States and say, could you change? I mean, he changed the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico. Let's change this, the spike. That's what I think should be the next move. 100%. 100%, guys. And then Legal will make a video to show us why that's wrong. And it will be great. No, English has no official authority. Damn it. Man, what can we do? What can we do about it? Goodness gracious. But yeah. You know me, I just tell it how it is, guys. I don't even care. Let's go.
Serving it hot with a sauce on top made of the same seasoning. And Scapi includes some other optional variants like adding rosemary or cutting up the ribs before cooking them in a sort of pile and then putting sour orange juice on top. But I am going for the marinade and the sauce. What I am having to do is slightly alter the way that it was actually cooked, because I don't have a spit nor an open flame here in my kitchen, so I'm going to be making them in the oven. And an oven is a wonderful way to cook ribs, as it is also a wonderful way to cook the many baked goods that I have been receiving from today's sponsor, Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas, and
Guys, I'm actually interested in this sponsor. I'm going to skip it. He said artisanal pasta. Usually I skip the sponsorship, but I might be interested. Let me check that out.
Delivery day has become one of my favorite days of the month because I know that whatever is in that box that they've sent me, it's going to be mighty good. And I must say, there is nothing better than having freshly baked sourdough bread coming right out of your oven. The smell, the flavor, all of it. Actually, there is something better, and that is their chocolate chip cookies. Because their chocolate chip cookies...
Perfect for my wife. She's really into chocolate chip cookies. Man, like I can't order a sub from Jersey Mike's without, or even a Subway without having to get the cookies for the wife. Absolutely. Yeah, I wonder if does it come, if I subscribe to this service, do they send me a spit as well? Or, and how do you not have an open flame in your kitchen, by the way, Max? I'm confused. You're a professional. If anyone should have an open flame, we should put, that's the second petition, guys. An open flame for Max Miller's kitchen. Yeah.
They're ridiculous. They are so good. I have become rather addicted to them, and I get them in every box now. So if you do like baking but have trouble finding the time to do the entire process, I really encourage you to give Wild Grain a try. They're fantastic. Just head to wildgrain.com/tastinghistory or click the link in the description and use my code TASTINGHISTORY and you will get $30 off of your first box plus free croissants for life. You will get
free croissant for life. Listen, I'm considering this one. Maybe after the stream, I'm gonna tell my wife about this because this Wild Grain thing is. I think he convinced me. You know the part, of course, free croissant for life as long as you renew your subscription. This goes without say. Still pretty good. Anyways, yeah, you went. Excuse me. What exactly? The what's interesting is, did you see this shot when he actually ate the cookie? That was in the contract. That was in the brief 100%. I know, I'm a content creator. I know for a fact that they put and you have to show yourself eating the cookie, and so he had to do the show. Nothing wrong with it. I understand there is a marketing team. It's just as a creator, because I know exactly how what these briefs look like. I see that and I'm like, yeah, that's on the brief, isn't it? That's on the brief. He did a great job though. I think he really convinced me. Yeah, this ad was targeted at me. Wild Grain, bread, pasta and pastry, BPP. Maximus. What are we doing here?
Get free croissants in every box that you order from Wild Grain using my code TASTINGHISTORY at wildgrain.com/tastinghistory. What they don't have is pork ribs, so that's on me. So yeah, for this recipe, what you'll need is 1 rack of pork baby back ribs, 2 or 3 small onions, 1 tablespoon of salt, 3 teaspoons of coriander divided. 1 will be for the rub, 1 for the marinade, and 1 for the sauce. And then also for the marinade, you will need 2 or 3 cloves of garlic, 1 teaspoon of red wine vinegar, and 1 tablespoon of mostocotto, or grape must syrup. Scappi actually uses the term mostocotto, but today it's very often found under the term sapa or saba. And they actually use this even in ancient Rome under the term de frutum. And it's wonderful. It's sweet and it's tangy, and it's basically just grape must that is boiled down into a syrup. It's fantastic. You're also going to use the same ingredients, the garlic, coriander, grape must, mostocotto, and vinegar for the sauce. But
yeah, he's pronouncing it right. One thing I want to say, since it's Italian, mosto, yeah, it's how we say the must. So basically, it's like I think the must is like the residue from the grapes as they're being turned into wine, and then you get that residue. That's what the mosto is, I think. I mean, I'm not a professional, but I'm saying, anyways, that's the word, mosto. Cotto means cooked. That's the word in Italian, anything. For instance, ham, if it's cooked ham, we say prosciutto cotto. Prosciutto cotto, it's the same word. It's becoming an Italian lesson here. Yeah, fermentation, exactly. But if it's raw ham, then we say prosciutto crudo. what's interesting is that, so in Italy, prosciutto is a neutral word. And usually if you say pane prosciutto, so bread and prosciutto, if you don't specify, I think most Italians will think that you mean cooked ham. In the US, instead, I noticed that people just say prosciutto, though they pronounce it prosciutto, I think, whatever. When people say prosciutto, they only mean raw. That's not the way we use it in Italy. I mean, it's fine, they use it that way here, but if you go to Italy and you don't specify, it is more likely you get cooked. Which is, so it's always good to specify if you ever interact with Italians. Prosciutto cotto is cooked ham. Prosciutto crudo is raw ham. Yeah.
We will visit that later on. So first, if your ribs do still have the silver skin membrane on the back of the ribs, it's best to remove it. It's not going to hurt you if you eat it, but it's kind of an unpleasant texture. So just pry it away with a knife, sometimes easier said than done, but once you get it up, you can pull some of the salt backside. Then prepare the marinade by crushing the garlic into a bowl and then adding 1 teaspoon of the coriander, the red wine vinegar, and that tablespoon of mostacotto. Whisk this all together and then pour it over the rack of ribs, front and back, brushing it all over. And once both sides are coated, wrap the ribs tightly in the foil and set them in the refrigerator to marinate overnight. And then when you are ready to actually cook them, unwrap them from the foil and then chop the onions into quarters and place them beneath the rack of ribs. Then rewrap the foil tightly around them and set them on a baking sheet with a wire rack. These then go into the oven at the rather low temperature of 275 degrees Fahrenheit, 135 Celsius.
Man, Catholic nuns know what they're doing, right?
For 2.5 to 3 hours. It's low and slow to get the best texture, and you want to just make sure that they're fully cooked by having the meat fall off the bone. And at that point, the ribs are done, but better to emulate the open fires in Scappi's kitchen, I stuck mine without the foil under the broiler for about 2 or 3 minutes, and that just gave a nice darkening to the top of the ribs. Now these ribs would have been something served to the cardinals at that conclave in 1549, provided the cardinals were behaving, because if they weren't behaving, they would only get bread and water.
Man, what does that mean? What does it mean that the cardinals like being naughty? So you don't get the ribs if you're naughty? That is like, what does it mean, not behave? I mean, if you give me bread and water, if it's good bread, maybe with a bit of cheese or some olives, I'm happy. I don't even need the ribs. But then again, I'm curious to see if he expands on that. Yeah, the broth, exactly.
And that was something left over from the very first conclave several hundred years earlier. A conclave which lasted for 3 years.
Yeah, that's a famous one.
The year was 1268, and Pope Clement IV had just died in the city of Viterbo, which at the time was the seat of papal power since Rome was deemed too dangerous. So, as was tradition, the College of Cardinals gathered in the city to elect one of the...
Let me expand on that. So, city of Viterbo. Part of my family lives in Viterbo. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous medieval town. And I kind of want to show you. So, it's not too far from Rome. Yeah, let me share a little bit of family history here. Viterbo. That's where my dad is from the north, much further north, but he did live in Viterbo for a few years before he met my mom, where he was working as a painter, full-time painter. So, and the reason why he moved there is because his brother was a very high, was he like some kind of general? He was in the army and he was living there. So this is Viterbo. It is a very medieval looking town. And it's, look at this. So basically you walk around Viterbo, it's like, once again, similarly to yesterday's stream, where I like sharing these things about Italy, that you can kind of give your native perspective, someone from there, also because I traveled a lot. The other day we talked about Erice, which is the Sicilian medieval town, but if you are somewhere in Rome, and you're like, hey, I love Rome, imperial art, but I'd like to see something medieval, Viterbo is not too far. And it is one of the most beautiful medieval areas. Exactly, Italia. That's how they write it in kanji. Not in kanji, in katakana. And it really makes you feel like you're walking around the freaking Elder Scrolls, my friends, because it still has, of course, you've got the addition of electricity and whatnot, but it still has the same feel, younger generation would say vibe, as it did in freaking 15th century. Because the churches, the buildings, the architecture, the roads, the way the roads are paved is old school. This is old school. This is not just a slab of asphalt for cars. This is really, really old school. And the decoration looks, the way you decorate, and the ivy sometimes on top of, and this is a nice map, but yeah, the ivy that grows on top of the walls, and then you have these massive gates of metal and wood, iron and wood. It is a gorgeous town. I really like Vita. Yeah, there we go. You see? I literally just told you. Like, look at this gate. And this is someone's residence. Look at this door over here. Right? Now, there is a piazza, a square, which the name is crazy. It's Piazza, which means square, della morte. That's it. It means square of death. What a name, my friends. What a name. But yeah, just wanted to share this with you. It's a nice place. So let me show you the map. There we go. So just to give you an idea, let's see if this one, yeah, there we go. So it's like slightly north of Rome. I don't know if it's too small, but it's slightly north of Rome. And of course you go Vatican City inside there. It's not that far. It's not that far. It's definitely further away than, for instance, actual northern cities would be, or like going all the way down south. It's not far from Rome. It's definitely something you could visit. Pizzas are squares in Italy. I did almost I did mistype it, didn't I? I did mistype it. Yeah, Viterbo.
Their own as the new pope. Unfortunately, they all hated each other, or more accurately, the leaders who they were kind of beholden to, they hated each other. That would have been the Holy Roman Empire, which was actually leaderless at the time, and the King of Naples, Charles of Anjou, who was a member of the French royal family. So on December 1st, 1268, 19 cardinals gathered in Viterbo to elect a new pope. 11 were beholden to the empire, and 8 were beholden to the French.
Man, I love how he pronounces it. Viterbo. That was legit. That was legit.
Now, the Empire and the French had each given them a list of who they could and could not vote for, and there was no overlap between the two lists. So from the start, they were at a stalemate. Now at this time, the voting was done very differently than it is today. They would gather, they would chat, they would have a vote, and then they would go home to wherever they lived, which was essentially a palace. And then they wouldn't meet again for a few days, a few weeks, just whenever they wanted to. So they were living a rather cushy life and were not...
Yeah, this idea that it was different than it is today. In the medieval period, sometimes you would get 2 popes elected, and then there would be a schism. One would go to France, southern France, like Avignon, and then one would stay in Rome, and then they would hate each other. It was a different thing, and it would be interesting to make a historical video about it. Totally. There must be craftsmen who know how to repair these buildings. Yeah, although building maintenance is one thing that I think Americans do better than us in Italy. Now, the situation varies, but unfortunately there are some Italian towns where some of the balconies are not really in great shape. Milan is one of the cities, I think, that does excellent maintenance usually, although that may vary depending on the area. But like, for instance, my city, Palermo is such a gorgeous city, but there are some areas where the decay on the buildings is such a shame. And every time instead I drive around, since now I live in the US, credit where credit is due, Americans are phenomenal at, and I'm sure that there are other European countries, like I imagine Northern Europe, I would imagine you guys are great at maintenance. But like Americans, the cities look like they're freaking polished with, I don't know how they do it. Everything is just in excellent conditions for what I've seen. Now, given you can tell me, oh no, there is this area in freaking Chicago that looks horrible. I get it. But I'm saying in my experience, driving through, for instance, Nashville, Tennessee, New York, there are many areas where you see these buildings and they are really polished. Goodness gracious. It's one thing that I have to see. That I noticed. Yeah, clearly they're newer. That's a good point. But then again, something like that. Just trying to think. How was the UK? London is one of those places that it's so massive that you really see everything. I mean, you go to Buckingham Palace, of course, or the Westminster, Kensington, South Kensington. Those areas, in my opinion, look great. But then you go to East Croydon, and I mean, I had a friend there. I spent a few weeks in East Croydon, but it's just it's a place that can be a little unkept, let's put it this way. So I imagine it depends. Thank you, Snowmanny. Love your stream so much. Language and history learning. Yeah, today we spoke about everything. Totally. But yeah, so Viterbo, definitely worth a shot.
Not in a big rush to make a decision. But the people of Viterbo, they wanted a new pope. So they decided to lock the cardinals inside of the papal palace. This was in late 1269, about a year after the whole thing had begun. And so they locked them in the palace cum clave, or with a key. That turned into conclave or conclave. Now you would think that being sequestered would hurry up the process. They would be uncomfortable. But it did not. They were still
Didn't work.
too comfortable, and time kept going on.
Could you imagine, though, this is the 13th century. There was no television and there were no video games. So what were they doing? Because, and I saw the super chat, I'll read it in a second, but I'm saying like in our period, like when there was the COVID lockdown, I played a lot of video games, and then luckily I was very fortunate that I could work from home, because that's what I do. So from a work's perspective, in fact, it didn't do anything. If anything, there were more people watching. But then again, like, you can entertain yourself, you can play video games, you can watch TV. But in the 13th century, one way that I think you could have a nice walk around in the town, speak a little bit with people. Maybe you could go to the local tavern. But if you're locked home in the 13th century, what on earth are you gonna do? Push-ups? I guess you could play chess. And then what? Talk with pray? I mean, these are cardinals. I imagine they spent quite a bit of. But it's not like you could pray for 12 hours a day every day. I mean, not even Jesus. There was a time for everything, he taught. So what are you gonna do? Farm simulator? Yeah, I know. Exactly. Studying, I guess. Drinking, sure. Probably that passed the time. But these guys stayed in there for years. That's insane. The cardinals got ripped. Man, could you imagine? Like, push-ups every day, sit-ups, pull-ups, and then these cardinals are like, yeah, reading, painting, writing, of course. Good point. Yeah, if you have access to that and you have the skills. Because, yeah, sure. Interesting stuff.
On. And so finally, the people said, okay, then you don't get to eat. We're cutting your food down to 1 dish a day. That still didn't work. So then they cut their food down to just bread and water. That's all they got.
Man, they were imprisoned. I didn't know they cut down the food. I didn't remember that. That's insane.
Surely that worked. Except no. Well, by June 1270, a whole year and a half after this thing began, Cardinal John of Toledo made a comment, supposedly in jest, that they couldn't make a decision because they were locked inside, and so the Holy Spirit couldn't get to them. Not sure that's how it works, but he couldn't get to them.
Yeah, I mean, what does that mean? The Holy Spirit can't go through a roof? Man, that doesn't sounds a little blasphemous. In fact, saying that, but whatever. I understand he needed a reason. I get it. I get it. If it was me, rather than saying something factually wrong as a man of church about the Holy Spirit, I would have said, guys, I'll just change my freaking vote at that point. I'd be like, guys, we're going to starve in here. I'm sick of it. Let's just change vote. Who do you want? You want that guy? Okay, I can't stand him. I'll vote for him. Because at that point, I think that's what I would have done if it was a cardinal in there. Yeah, I need a new Holy Spirit. I mean, I know. What on earth? Ruach, yeah, that's the ruach. That's the biblical term for spirit, is it? I think it means wind, though. If that's the one, if it's the one I remember. Cool.
And so they had to be either let out of conclave or have the roof torn off of the palace.
Yeah, the face was
Well,
good.
the people decided to tear
Okay, yeah, let me read the super chats. Don't want to be disrespectful, guys. I really appreciate the support for the stream. Hi, and then I'll read Twitch. Hi, 52. American maintenance is similar to Europe. They maintain attraction areas and the rest goes to rot in the background. I see. Well, as I say, there are some places in, at least in the urban area, because there are some areas, like urban areas in Italy. It's like middle class, at least, if not middle to upper class. And, well, upper class, it's all well maintained. But you know what I mean? Even middle class, you would expect it to be well maintained, but sometimes it's not the case. High 52. Also, nicest city I've been to in Europe or North America was Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines, is that how you read it? Super clean, extremely friendly, very well maintained, good food. Wow. I've never been to Iowa, but I do want to visit, if possible, every state in the US. That's like one of my life goals. One of. Skillsney says, I'm an atheist, but for some reasons I really like your content. But thank you very much. But in general, I mean, occasionally, usually during live streams, if people ask me, I will share my faith. But usually my channel is purposely kept secular with very rare exceptions, precisely because I want everyone to be able to join and watch. But then again, if I'm asked, it's not like I'm staying in the closet. I'm going to say exactly what I believe. But during content, I like to keep it secular and try to maintain my selective bias to a low. Zero, impossible, but try to keep it to a low. So like when I do biblical research, I try not to begin with a result and then interpret the data to favor the result I want. Of course, you need the opposite. You begin from the data analysis, and then the result is it's the product of said analysis. But of course, I would lie whenever, if we are reviewing a biblical text, I would lie if I said that I don't have a personal hope or a personal desire when it comes to what that result may be. Luckily, though, those videos usually at the production of a team, and my lead researcher is atheist, so we kind of keep each other in check, which is one of the reasons why I've said this on a few live streams of mine. But it was hilarious at one point on my video on the historicity of Jesus, which of course was attacked by mythicists that were saying you're just a Christian and you just want to push your bias, and they were specifically condemning a section which was written by my lead researcher who is atheist. So I called him and I said, hey mate, did you know you just became one of us? Might as well. I mean, you have Christian bias apparently, even though you're an atheist. So I thought that was funny, and I think in that case it was their bias. Simply because I said publicly that I'm a Christian, then automatically every resource that I'm sharing, it must be because you want a certain result. We try to keep the bias low. Sometimes we fail. Sure, we all do, but not for the lack of trying. Twitch, how you doing? That's some powerful walls, says Legato. Man, if I can keep the Holy Spirit out, those walls are like, what the heck? They got some shielding, like Protoss. People of Viterbo were messing around, exactly. Voteshell says, I like this one. Yeah, Piked sounds epic. Sorry if it took me so long. The city looks amazing. Thank you, Dinner. Yeah, Viterbo is pretty good. Thank you, Skolsny, for sharing that. Epsilon Sama says, people who deny Jesus' existence are misinformed. I agree with you. I think mythicists are wrong. But, of course, mythicists think I'm wrong. Me and you agree. Someone else would disagree. Freedom.
tear the roof off the palace. So now the cardinals are sequestered, they're not eating very well, and they are out in the elements pretty much all of the time. So surely now they had to come to a compromise and make a decision, right?
Right.
No, it still took quite a bit longer. It wasn't until September of 1271, almost 3 years after the last pope had died.
3 years, guys. The last conclave took 2 days. 2 days. I think it took 2 days because they already had spoken about it for the better part of a year. That's just my opinion. I can't prove it. 2 days, though, versus 3 years.
That they finally agreed that they couldn't make a decision. So instead, they had 6 of their own get together to form a subcommittee, and they would make the decision.
Right.
And still, they could
not... Man, at that point... You know what I would do if I was one of the cardinals at that point? You know what, guys? Let's take the 6 or the 3 people that have got the highest votes, put them in the box, make a prayer, God lead my hand, take one at random, that's the Pope. That's what I would do at that point. Right? Because that's not working clearly. And the reason, by the way, is so difficult is because it's not a simple majority in the conclave. It's a 2/3 majority, which is much harder to achieve. A simple majority means 51% wins over 49%, but 2/3 is a much higher number of votes that need to converge. That's why conclave usually takes so long.
Not decide which of them was going to be the next pope.
Yeah.
So finally, they all decided to elect someone who wasn't even there, who wasn't even a cardinal. His name was Teobaldo Visconti. He wasn't even ordained.
Teobaldo, that's the first thing he missed the pronunciation, but I probably missed my pronunciation in English 15 times during this live stream, so not a big deal, but it is Teobaldo Visconti.
And on top of that, he was off in the Holy Land on the 9th Crusade with the future King Edward I of England.
Man, what a plot twist. What a plot twist. No, he said he wasn't ordained as cardinal. I imagine he was clergy, though, I would think. But anyways, I'm not watching the whole thing. If you do want to watch the whole history and whatnot, of course, I'd recommend to check the original videos. I always do with these. I just want to see, what is he going to say? Is he going to like the ribs or not? That's what we want to know. Is he going to like it or not?
And here we are. The pork back ribs served to the cardinals during the conclave of 1549.
Let's go.
I just love the look of a rack of ribs. Ribs are one of my favorite foods.
Really?
Give them a try here.
Yeah, give it a try. Let's go. Yeah? Cardinal approved?
Perfection.
Well, that explains why they stayed in there for so long. Although then again, then they got underfed.
Messy, but perfection.
Right.
Let's get this big piece here. 1 second.
Yeah, go. Please take your time, Max. No problem. No problem.
The flavor is just it's wonderful because you get a little bit of the garlic and the onion, but neither of them are overpowering. And you get that far more interesting flavor of the mostokoto and...
That's true, yeah. I wish the onions were a little charred. I agree with you. Where is it? You have a strange craving for ribs, says Brady. That's fine. That's funny. Who said, yeah, Sam. Exactly. We need some charring on those onions, guys. It's just like when you have your pepperoni. It's kind of nice when they are a little thicker and a tiny bit overdone, but just a tiny bit, so that they turn into a cup on your pizza, right? Like pepperoni is an American thing, but hey, I can learn how to enjoy it the right way. Am I right? Or am I right?
And the vinegar.
The vinegar.
But it's not vinegary. It's not too tangy. And it's not too sweet. Like, it's not like a barbecue sauce where it can be very sweet, which I like barbecue sauce. But it's like a proto barbecue sauce. The flavor is so complex. They are tender. They're not slathered in the sauce. You could make more, I guess. But I do feel like this is closer to what it would be. What I want to taste, though, is
the onion, guys.
Onion.
Yeah, go for it.
I had
Onion.
somebody make me this knife, and it is actually based off of a knife inside.
Hey, his knife is based, guys. His knife is based on the live stream that I titled, "Are you biased or are you based?" Did you see that? There's no coincidence right there. The knife is based.
Which I think is really cool. I love onions. Here we go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Don't stab yourself, mate.
I can just eat actually just a plate of the onions. It's so sweet. It's like lost any of that kind of bite that the onion has, and it's just sweet and delicious. So one thing I wanted to show you is this. This is a replica, obviously, of the key that opens the Sistine Chapel.
Of course he has a replica of the freaking key of the Sistine Chapel. Yeah, Max, we need to give you some Italian Roman citizenship here. That is insane. Yeah, Kamoshiranai is one of the ways to say maybe. Exactly, Kamoshiranai, yeah. Man, he's got the key.
And I got it when I went to the Vatican a couple months ago, and I did something called the Keymaster Tour. which was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. You show up at the Vatican before anyone else is there, and it's a small group of just 20 people.
Yeah.
You go into the Vatican with the person who opens all of the doors, and you get to open the doors, and they got tons of keys, and you get to be
That
in
sounds Catholic, all right.
the Vatican essentially alone. It's hard to get tickets.
That is incredible. I mean, look at that. The artistic level, like it's incredible from an artistical perspective. What's artistical? Artistic, and just breaking. It broke my English, and I complained about him saying whatever. Anyways, fantastic video. Really enjoyed it. Give him a like. As always, I'm already subscribed, so I can't subscribe again. But I'm thinking of ordering. So we're done with the reacts for now. We're gonna go back to regular streaming. But I have to say, I'm considering getting his book. I don't know about you guys, but I'm considering getting his book because I mean, we could try some. Could you imagine, like, if I get his book and then we try one of his recipes that are connected to ancient Rome or the medieval period? Yeah, that could be some good. Yeah, that could be good. Good content. Once, I mean, I'm probably gonna botch the job, but perhaps with the help of my wife, we could do it. But I'm a pretty good cook, but only for like classic Italian things, like modern, not for whatever the heck they were eating in ancient Rome. Please stream and film your cooking. Yeah, Empu, that's actually a good idea. I should do that one of these days. I should totally do that one of these days. That's insane. Telegram, you're now Pope. Have a good crusade. Why were they so stubborn? Yeah, I'm sure, because you have to imagine that in the medieval period, the Catholic Church had a lot more power than now. Had a lot more influence. It still has political influence. At the end of the day, the Pope is not just a spiritual leader; he's also a monarch, and the actual leader of the country of the Vatican. They have diplomacy and all that, but not to mention the immense accumulation of wealth. But when it comes to the medieval period, yeah, it was important who's going to be the next pope, who's going to have, some of you were mentioning jokingly the Crusades, but absolutely, popes had armies, knights, crusaders, a lot of power, massive influence on both. For instance, the Holy Roman Empire later on, they were constantly trying to get each other's back, like with the establishment of bishops and the papacy saying, no, we get to establish bishops because we are the church. Then the emperor saying, I'm going to establish the bishops. And so they would it's after each other's throat. Then if you think about it, in the medieval period, I can understand why it would take 3 years to try and get to who's going to be the next pope. Because it's going to have incredible repercussions and a butterfly effect through the entirety of Europe, possibly the Middle East, if there's going to be another crusade. And it's a big deal. In the medieval period, massive deal. And there would have been a lot of parties interested. King of France, royals of Italy, there would have been massive, even congregation-wise. Yeah. Did the Pope choose kings? In some periods, yes. They would choose kings sometimes. They could excommunicate kings, and we have a situation where a king went back and kneeled on the snow to receive the forgiveness of the Pope. But then we also have situations where monarchs ignored the Pope. So it really depends. It's a situation. One thing the popes tried to do, I made a couple of videos about it, but they didn't do well, unfortunately. But one thing the popes tried to do in the medieval period was to ban the usage of crossbows and bows. Everybody forgets that part. Everyone is like, crossbows are so powerful because the popes tried to ban them. And freaking bows. It's the bull. Like if you read the bull, the papal bull, it says that crossbowmen and archers, the crossbows and bows should be banned from usage because the Christian armies are banned from using crossbows and bows onto other Christians, which also means they had no problems with you shooting heathens, but when it comes between Christians, don't do it. But most countries ignore that anyways, because of course, if your opponent is not going to do that and follow it and they field archers and crossbowmen, then you're going to do it too. But yeah, if you read the actual, they tried to outlaw bows, and yeah, because they could, you have a volley of crossbow darts or bolts, and yeah, I mean, you can kill, you can off a lot of people. It's kind of funny though, in my opinion. I understand it. I do understand it, but it is still kind of funny if you think about it. To be like, oh, you can't shoot an arrow against a Christian. That's not Christ-like. But if you spear them to death, then that's okay. You know, it's fine. But don't you dare shoot him an arrow, because then, if you think about it this way, it kind of makes me laugh. I guess because that one is hand to hand, so maybe you could block. I have no idea what the logic says, but it is funny to think that you're fine. You can pass them through and through with a sword through the stomach. Totally fine. Amen to that. But don't you dare shooting them with that crossbow, because I do not appreciate that. Spear is fine. Mace to the skull is okay. Mace to the skull is no bull for that one. But I guess they couldn't really tell people you're not supposed to go to war, because they knew that that was going to be completely ignored. So they tried with ranged weapons. Didn't really work that much. Yeah, Genoese crossbowmen were high. Yeah, it's totally Baron. Yeah, Bacchus. The Genoese crossbowmen were a fantastic mercenary force. Thank you, Dr. Five, for supporting the stream. I appreciate your generosity. Yeah, you should try some of these and see how they come out. Yeah, I like the history and I like food watching this. And Townsend, ooh, Townsend is so good. I do on occasion try the recipes with what I have available to me and the grocery store or local farms. You know, I sometimes watch Townsend when I eat. So I'm having food, I'll just put one of their videos because it kind of makes me hungry. If you know what I mean. And so it's kind of more enjoyable for me at that point. Yeah. Hellhound, thank you for streaming. My pleasure. I also want to say that you have helped me inspire me as a disabled combat veteran to keep on kicking. That's fantastic to hear. And thank you so much for your service there. It's hard living with what I've had to do in war. I was gonna say I can imagine, but the reality of fact is that no, I can't. I can't imagine. But once again, thank you for being here. It's an honor to have you watch the streams. Ranged warfare is something I unfortunately have a lot of real-world experience in. Yeah, I know. Yeah, sure, for sure. Are you more into piano or do you even play the guitar? I play a little bit the guitar, but no, I'm formally trained. I did 8 years of piano play. That's the instrument that I actually know how to play. So, yeah. Good stuff, guys. Good stream so far. We watched 2 really good videos, I gotta say. That was nice. You know what I think I'm gonna play tonight? In a little bit. I think I'm gonna play some Street Fighter, because I haven't played it in a while. I want to see if I can finish it still. We'll have to choose which one. And I'm gonna do a Vega run. And I'm gonna wear the mask. Because I've got Vega's mask, of course. I've got the hair as well. It's just that I would have to put it into a braid or a plait, depending on where you're from, which I totally could. But whatever. I mean, we're not gonna lose ourselves in details, but still, that's one thing I'd like to do. That could be fun. Oblivion, yeah, maybe tonight. I like playing Oblivion at night more. Like yesterday, we played some Oblivion. It was good, but I kind of have a feeling that I feel like playing some Street Fighter. We'll have to choose which one though. Would you play Valheim at some time with all the new stuff? Absolutely, yeah. We need to start a new playthrough and stream it. Once again, Valheim is something, maybe I could start the first episode on the channel here, and then we kind of just transition to the evening on Twitch, probably. Yeah. You find Valheim too slow? I love Valheim. But then again, I think I prefer, to me, when a game is a little on the slower side, it is actually a bonus. Because I just like games that allow me to just enjoy the graphics, enjoy the architecture, enjoy a moment. Probably because, I mean, I'm in my 40s now. So, of course, I guess when I was like 20, 15, I liked games to be very hectic. Not always, because I've always liked games that like tactical turn-based combat. I'm a Heroes of Might and Magic veteran. But then again, I think I also enjoyed games to be very, very adrenaline-based. But now I don't. I enjoy a game that I can take my time. In fact, sometimes there are games that I like a lot, and then they do have one component that is like that, and it's annoying for me. So I enjoy taking my time, with the game. So the slower the better. I've got there. Valheim with viewers. Totally camping. Master, that'd be fun. Exactly. Hellhound, exactly. I played Skyrim and Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, goodness gracious, and Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 a lot. I see, yes, Skyrim is one of my favorite games. I do prefer Oblivion over Skyrim, but Skyrim is great. And I do want to play it again. I think maybe after I finish Oblivion, I do want to, who cares? It can also mean a cigarette. And I picked up English in England, so I don't care about that. Thrash command. So I don't particularly care. Cancelled. Well, someone did try the other night when they I should have banned them. If I see, I'll have to see what the name is and I'll ban them. But someone did try to type something in a comment where they tried to make me say, to trick me into using the N-word, which I never have in my life and never will. I do want to underline, though, that I'm not exclusive to that. I don't use any racial slur. And I think that all racial slur are bad. In fact, it did happen to me. Like once I was with my wife, we were trying to park the car, and a guy almost came through us because he wanted to park, and we were walking. And so we had to kind of walk out of the way because he almost hit us with a freaking car, and he called us effing, and then he used the C word, the one that it's the slur used against white people. Yeah, I think that's equally bad. It's just that I'm a decent person and I don't like using racial slur. I wouldn't make it illegal because I'm a free speech guy, but I just don't use any. But yeah, a guy tried. He tried to do it. Thank you, Evil Black. So good to see you back. Thank you for the support. Monty Python, priest voice. He who lives by the sword will surely die by the sword. Bows are right out. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, exactly with that situation. Yeah, crazy. Knowledge is knowing tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. I mean, yeah, that's good. That's actually pretty good. Black Flag. Yeah, exactly. Random says, no slurs, no swearing. I appreciate this when my kid can hear it. Yeah, that too. Sure. Of course, in front of in front of children, even more so. But it's just that I'm a polite individual, so I usually don't. I will occasionally swear just for fun, but generally speaking, there are some words that I personally find they make me cringe. I do keep repeating because it's important to keep repeating so I don't get misconstrued. I am a massive supporter of freedom of speech, but I can still use my own freedom then to cringe, if you know what I mean. Dude, I love Italy. Very partial to the Italian Renaissance. Thank you, Rooney. Yeah, the Renaissance is one of the most beautiful times, I think, of our country. And even the armor in the Renaissance, heroic armor, is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Did you like Zelda? Absolutely, Cross Defender. Yeah, I mean, to this day, my favorite Zelda game, I don't know if this is a base take since we're here, I don't know. And one of my favorites still is Ocarina of Time. To me, it's like, I don't know what it is. Obviously, Breath of the Wild, phenomenal game. And all the other games that they came out, there was the one that is cel-shaded that recently did a remake, and it was good. But it's just, there is something, it's probably nostalgia, I'll admit that, but there is something. I replayed it recently, Ocarina of Time, and it still gave me the way you lose yourself into the world, that even though they worked with what they had, I mean, I get it. The castle looks great. The architecture is great. Sometimes, though, you have these 2D kind of walls of trees that look horrible. But in general, the game looks really nice. It had its technical limitations, but man, they managed to create a phenomenal experience when it comes to the immersion. It really feels like you are living a fairy tale, and I love it. Love it. To me, a game's quality is based on the memories that it gives you. That's how it works for me. That's how I choose the games. That's why for me Valheim remains one of my favorite, because man, I had a great time. We had 10 people, all friends, building the village, build those battlements before we get attacked. We need to resist. People on the man the towers while they attack. Great game. Great game. Yeah. You go to and from Italy much? Not really now. We did a few times, particularly when my mom was sick. We traveled a lot, which is also one of the reasons why, at one point I raised a crowdfunding when we were like paying for her medical bills. But during that very crowdfunding, I did say if we go above a certain amount, I will also use any extra to try and reimburse ourselves, because goodness gracious, flying from the US to Italy without notice, like I had to buy tickets the day before, so that cost a lot of money. So it was great that you guys really helped. Yeah, I showed receipts and everything, and it was great that you guys helped with that, because financially it can be a problem to do that. But in general, now we don't go as much, because it's not only for the financial aspect of it, but it's also because it's such a long flight. 10 hours. I mean, I played with my Switch the entire 10 hours, just so you know. But still, it's a very long trip. My wife really wants to go. She loves going to Italy. We always visit my dad in Sicily and family. But then we enjoy like spending a few days in Milan, a few days in Rome, because Rome and Milan, she loves both cities. And then we like, doing that. So I am looking forward to go. It's just that I'm not sure when, because since we bought this house, we've been kind of saving a little bit, if you know what I mean. Which is why I want to thank everyone, by the way, for memberships and subscriptions and watching the videos. It really helps, because these times, prices, are what they are. Broccoli asks, is MINCHIA? I used it once on a stream and I got a yellow dollar sign, so I'm not going to say it. Only used in Sicily or also in southern Italy? No, it's used everywhere, even in the north now. It's a Sicilian swear word. And Sicilians, we use it a lot. But it has become so famous that now I hear people in Milan use it. So it's used everywhere in Italy now. Yeah. Another, I kind of want to prove it to you, because I don't want you to be like, yeah, Metatron says this, but is it true? I'm going to show you. Do you know what video got a yellow dollar sign? It is insane. I need to show you this. I think I need to go back a little bit. Let me see. I'm going to share my screen now. Let me share my screen. So this is my channel. Monetization. Thank you, Evil Black, for sending 5 Metatron memberships. Man, you're so generous. To those who have just received a membership, in about 5 minutes or so, I'm going to switch into the members only chat for 30 minutes. We are almost there. So if you just become a member, it's almost your time to shine. Anyways, as you can see, monetization, green dollar sign, no problem. And then we keep going down, no problem. But then we'll get there. We'll get to it. If we keep going down, man, I post a lot, because I post 30 videos a month. So, of course, 2 months are 60 videos. So it's a lot of posting. I need to get to the one that I want to show you. They got the yellow treatment. They got the yellow dollar sign treatment. Man, how long ago did I... Hey, there we go. There we go. Look. See, I don't make stuff up. Italian man loses his SHIT with a 1 watching Bolognese pasta videos. Hilarious. Now, given I did swear in Italian a couple of times on this video, but it was a joke. It was comedy. Of course, I didn't hate these people. It did upset me a little bit, I'll be honest with you, because, I mean, they are destroying Italian cuisine. But it was a joke. Yellow dollar sign. Then I did this. So I said, guys, I think it's a mistake. Can you manually review it? They manually reviewed it. And they manually decided, you're not getting a green dollar sign for this one. It remains fully. This video has been confirmed by manual review as not suitable for advertisers. Comedy's dead, guys. Comedy's dead. What can I tell you? What can I tell you? And it's a shame because, I mean, 82,000 views is decent. How much did it make? $5? Because that's what happens, by the way. When it's limited, it's not like this one is ineligible. So this one makes nothing. No money because of copyright. And that's why it's still public. So I didn't even see that this happened. It must have happened retroactively. That's nonsense. But anyways, this one made zero. 144,000 views. That is such nonsense. It really annoys me. I'll have to see what on earth. See details. Copyright protected. The copyright owner has rejected your dispute. Okay, I'm doubling down. I didn't notice that. I'm going to double down. Then when I go to court, we'll go to court. They never do. I didn't notice that. That's annoying. Anyways, yeah, this one, let me see. If we go into the analytics together for a moment, just give you a behind the scenes. Okay, so it made still $260 for 82,000 views is not bad. It's not bad considering this yellow dollar sign, because usually yellow dollar sign will decrease it monumentally. Like a video that gets 1 million views will make $100. I'm actually surprised that it did. I think what happened is that probably the first 40 to 50,000 views did get a green dollar sign, because when I posted it, it was green, and then they switched to yellow dollar sign and it stopped. That's probably what happened, but still, it's really annoying when that happens, because yeah, it is what it is. What can you do? All your videos are cool, dude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You probably earn a lot of money. Well, I make a good living now. I've had moments during production that the revenue went down, because it's always ups and downs. That's how it is, at least for me. But right now I can't complain. Yeah, the revenue is decent. Also because new people joined the channel, so now I'm compensating with members, which really helps me maintaining the production of the research, because when I have members, it's like self-funded, whereas when it's just AdSense, as you can see, the situation is a little volatile because it's connected on the views, it's connected on what dollar sign you get. Majority of times I get a green dollar sign, but then again, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's nice to have people subscribing. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Swin. Hey, I'm Metatron, big fan. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm having a good time with the live streams. Do you get retroactively paid once you prove you were wrongly copyright struck? Only if it's yellow dollar sign or if it's a green dollar sign. But I think I can show you what I'm talking about, because I think it's just the best way to illustrate things is to actually physically show it. So I don't have a problem with that. I've got nothing to hide. There are some things that I keep for privacy, but in general I enjoy. Okay, no, it was removed. So yeah, I have it on the other channel. I don't think I can show you right now. Anyways, sometimes you still keep the green dollar sign, but because of a copyright claim, the money is redirected to them. So you make money, but all the money goes to whoever is claiming your content. Then you dispute it. While it's under dispute, the money is set aside by YouTube. No one gets it until there is a resolution. And so if that resolution takes 30 to 37 days in the maximum of cases, then at the end, if you win, which you will, because it's all transformative in nature, it's fair use, I win 10 times out of 10, then retroactively you will get paid, yes. But if something happens like what we saw with a red dollar sign, no money is generated whatsoever, and so there is nothing to get retroactively in that situation. So yeah, it's a case by case. Very educational content. I appreciate that. Thank you. Valheim with friends is amazing, says Camping Master on Twitch. You're absolutely right. Twitch is going really well lately. Yesterday alone, 100 subscribers. One single guy. I know his name, of course. It's Primo Elf, or Primo Elf. Of course, I remember the name. He donated 100 subscriptions on Twitch. I had to text my wife. Well, I usually tell her anyways, but when there are like big subscriptions. But that was insane. 100 subscriptions. Yeah, that really shifted the situation on Twitch. Hellhound, Metatron, I hold copyrights to some music that is in my content, and even I've had YouTube try to do that with the content. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I know that, because it's a bot. Often the beginning is a bot, then you say no, this is wrong, then the company involved is contacted, and they have 30 days to say we double down, and oftentimes they will. When they double down, then you have to double down again, and then they have to take you to court. at that point. I have a whole block of text written by a lawyer that I copy paste every time they try that stuff, where we cite everything and it's solid. And that's why 10 out of 10, 10 times out of 10 times. Yeah, because the only way they would win that if it's someone re-uploaded the entirety of the video. Then, yeah, you can't win that. It's also because it's wrong. But if you're providing commentary, then it's legal, particularly in the US, because in Japan, copyright laws are a little iffy, and usually it's on the side of corporations. But in the US, it's absolutely defended. It is a right to be able to provide, for instance, for educational purposes, for critique purposes. And if anyone tries to mess with that, yeah, they will never take you to court. They all chicken out. They all chicken out. Yeah. Yeah, I might make a video about it at one point, maybe share it for creators who are struggling with it. The only thing is that I don't know if doing that could be against terms of service. So I need to see how it works, because terms of service sometimes can be a little tricky with stuff like this and what you say, because they might think, all right, you're trying to encourage people. Like, I'll have to walk that line carefully. Yeah. Oh, you have a law degree, Hellhound. Man, you're like everything. You're a veteran with a law degree. Goodness gracious. You're like a superhero. What time is it? Asks Broccoli. It's 7:38 p.m. in Central Time for me. Yeah. Okay, guys. So what I'm going to do now is that to thank the members, because usually when it was before, I used to stop the stream. Instead, I'm going to continue the stream. We're going to do another 30 minutes yeah, I'm gonna do another an extra 30 minutes now dedicated for members. So if you're a channel member, you get to talk to me directly, and I can read your comments more easily. And if you're not a channel member, please consider, because it's something that I will continue to offer during the live streams, and it's a good time. It's something that I want to give you back, because you're helping a lot, so that I don't have to worry too much about the nonsense with the algorithm. You have access to this with the lowest tier, which I believe is $4.99. I think that's what it is. And you can join it through the join button right next to the subscribe button. That's where you find it. I don't know if you can do that through phone. I don't know if you can do it through phone. Maybe you can let me know, guys, if you already become a member. But definitely from desktop, there is the option to join the channel. And I really appreciate everyone who does that. And then after 30 minutes, we'll unlock it and again, and so everyone can join. But yeah, every stream 30 minutes dedicated to members, and then every Friday full stream dedicated to members, guys. Thank you. Cool stuff. So 5 seconds. We always do a little game, by the way. I'm gonna count down from 5, and we'll see who's gonna slip in the last, because I can see them gray, right? Green are members, gray are regular. And let's see who can slip the last comment right before I click. All right, let's do that. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and boom. Broccoli wins. Buonasera Metatron, Broccoli. That was really good. All right, noble members of the channel, welcome to the inner circle. Sconesi, thank you for becoming a member. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thoughts on Malekith? Ooh, Malekith is awesome. The Dark Elf, right? You're talking Warhammer. Am I right? Am I right? So Malekith. Yeah, I think you're talking about that. Malekith is awesome. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, this is Malekith from Warhammer. My gosh, this guy. He's really cool. Look at that intricacy. It has to be empty. This has to be empty. Otherwise, it would weigh a ton. It will weigh a ton. You can use Japanese if you want. Yeah, sure. Also, for those who wanted to know, just want to show one thing. For those who, because I know sometimes people are like, oh, I want to join, but I don't know how to do it. Let me show you where it is. So that if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I wanted to join, but I don't know how to do it, I'm going to show you. I'm going to click on my latest video. And that's what it is. So That's what it is. So this is my video, right? The one I just posted. Can we agree on this? And as you can see, this is Metatron. Right next to it, this is the join button, and it's the one that you use to become a member of the channel. If you don't see it, it's possible that it's because you don't have, maybe you're using a different platform. Definitely from desktop, you could see it. All right. Cool stuff. Yeah, Malekith is good. Voteshall says same, so we did not need to worry about troll wrecking our bases too early. Oh yeah, you're talking about Valheim. Gosh, I love Valheim. We need to play some Valheim, my friends. Or maybe because you're not subscribed, you're saying, so you have to be subscribed in order to join the channel. I didn't know that. Well, you see, Dark Brandon, I don't know if you're a creator, but you know more than me, and I've been a creator for 12 years. So that tells you all about it. All you need to know. His helmet is pre-Chaos God arriving, I see. Bring back memory. Oh, there was a legal waiver? Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Yo. For example, at a certain time of day or when you're tired. So you're talking, are there certain circumstances in which you automatically revert to Italian or use Italian words without meaning? Yeah, I think, as you're saying, maybe when I'm tired a little bit, it could happen, sure. Or if I have used a lot of Italian, like I'm on the phone with my dad or I watched an Italian creator, then that could happen. Yeah, doesn't happen very often, but that could happen. Generally, I think in the language I speak. Right now, I think in English. I'm not thinking in Italian and then translating that slow. You don't do that. And I used to be a simultaneous translator, so that's something I trained. But if I start speaking in Italian, I think in Italian. If I speak Japanese, I think in Japanese. I always switch the entire thing. That's how it is. You're already a member, Sconesi, because I see you now. So good to have you here. I can refer to you. Okay, I'll refer to you with your hiragana. Jakobu. Then I'll call you Jakobu from now on. Cool. Hey, Daniel Edwards. So good to see you here. Welcome back. Welcome back to the circle. Buonasera, Raf. So we kind of had a meal together twice today. Cool. I had pasta for lunch while watching last night's VODs when you ate, and at dinner with your live tonight. Man, yesterday stream was 8 hours. 8 hours of streaming. Thank you, Mojak771, for becoming a member of the channel. I think we hit 320 members now. Eventually, if we continue this way, we'll hit the 500 mark. I'll have to do something special for 500 mark, like a special stream, like a really long stream for 500. Yeah, you know, that's what we could do when we are hitting like the high 400s, hoping that happens. But I'm saying you guys are awesome, so I think you will. And if we hit like 480, something like this, 470, we could do a long stream and then we keep streaming until we hit 500. That could be fun. Or like maybe we add after we hit 500, then for each number of members we extend the stream. That's another thing that YouTubers do, so that could be fun to do. Yeah, Jakobu sounds cool. Sconzi, oh, that's how you read it. Yeah, I like Jakobu. You gotta grow the channel. Yeah, I know. Particularly with how YouTube is, because they've been changing the algorithm again. And one thing that the algorithm appears to be doing now is favor smaller channel, which I'm glad, of course, but they also do it at the expenses of established channels. And that to me sounds a little like, well, but what about people who like, and then I can't really complain, the channel is fine, but I've seen creators that have been hit by this algorithmic change really badly. Like a channel with 2 million subscribers that gets 2,000 views per video is a catastrophe. And I know how much work you need in order to build a community, and so the fact that now the algorithm appears to penalize channels that have already reached that is something wrong. There is something wrong. So memberships, when you can, because of course the core of a channel, you guys, the core of a channel is something that is always going to be with you. They always watch your stuff, they comment underneath, they share your videos, and so it's more likely that they will be so meaning you'll be like, yeah, I want to join the channel, I want to support production. And that really helps not having to care too much about the YouTube algorithmic shenanigans, because the situation is crazy. And if you think about it, even a fellow creator like Scalagrim, and Shad, I know, had that problem in Shadiversity. I think now it's going a little better for him. But Scalagrim as well, he has twice as many subscribers as I have. He should be getting a minimum of 100 100,000, if not 150,000 views per video. And he's been struggling a lot with that, right? Yeah, exactly. And to me, I think I honestly don't think, some people then accuse creators, like Scalagram has been accused, oh, you changed the content, or Shad has been accused is because of your political stances. But then again, I mean, he doesn't share his politics on his main channel. He shares his politics on his political channel. I don't watch his political channel. I just watch his main channel, because I don't like to watch too much political stuff for my entertainment. I usually just watch a little bit. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think that that's true. I don't think that that's fair. It's just people that hate Shad's politics, they use that accusation. But the reality is that what we see has a lot to do with the algorithm, because even for me, again, I can't complain. Some videos do well, some videos don't. For me, it's ups and down. But when even when the videos do well, and I get like 150,000 views, 7,000 of those are from notification. 7,000. That's nothing in comparison. 143,000 come from homepage. So isn't that crazy? And I've had videos where notification gave you 1,300 views. And I'm like, out of almost 1 million subscribers, like, the notification don't work. Yeah, you don't like politics? I understand that. Yeah, I do understand that. Thank you, Hi52, for becoming a member. You also donated a few super chats. I appreciate that. I do take notice. Thank you for the generosity. Very appreciate that. Channel says, I always wanted to explain to Shad what happened. I sort of saw it happening on the spot. Yeah, I mean, I speak to Shad. I've spoken. The reason why he increased the number of uploads is because I suggested him to do it. I'm gonna just tell you straight. Because he was complaining that the revenue was really getting really low, and he had to start letting people go from the team that he was working with. And I understand. I mean, the guy has got 17 kids, for crying out loud. So I told him, mate, what I suggest you to do at that point, and I told Scalagram that too. I told him, you need to increase the frequency of uploads, because even though now I post daily, I've been posting daily since August or September, I think August. And that helps, because even though each single upload may not get a lot of views, together they add up and they make a good revenue. That's how it works. So it's one way to do it. That's why he started doing it, and he started posting 6 times a week, and he gets Sundays off, which respectable. Hi52 says, I watch politics like some people watch sports. Blood sports, in fact. Wondered who got that idea through Shad. Yeah, it was me, Vodashal, giving you a little bit of a behind the scenes, but we talk a lot between creators. As I say, yesterday I was chatting with Lindy Beige about a month and a half ago, because Scalagram posted a video where he said, I need your help, because he was getting no views. Like, he was saying, I put so much work into this video and it capped at 15,000 views when he has 1.7 million. It's insane. And I understand the feeling. And so I messaged him and I said, mate, I spoke about him and we shared analytics a little bit because it helps. And I actually sent to both Shad and Scalagram, I sent them my private financial analytical data from my main channel and from my second channel. And that's because I trust them, because it's a private piece of information to show exactly how much money is generated through AdSense every month. But I knew that they could use it. I knew that they could use that data. And so I sent it to them, and I just asked them to be private about it. So we do these kind of discussions and talks behind the scenes between creators. It does help. Yes, Scalagram I don't think he's originally from Canada, but he does live in Canada. Yes, he's one of the creators of the Community of the Sword. So we do that. And so I did that. And the other person that I share my personal analytics is Jason Kingsley, but I do that mostly because I know he's interested in data analysis and data collection, because the guy is a big deal. Jason King, not because he needs any help from me at all. If anything, I need help from him. But I'm saying a very successful CEO of Rebellion is great. Jason Kingsley is like, if I could point and choose one person to become rich, it would be him. He's already rich. He's a millionaire, I think. But he's like the good-hearted person that became rich. Great. Nice. Because instead, when a lot of YouTubers, particularly when they become like influencers, when they become rich young, they become bad people. It often happens. He's not one of those. Thank you, Tesla Vision, for the support. Can you pass along that I need some help over here? I have run out of options. Mac is compromised or being stupid. Who is Mac? If there is a safe word, tell someone something is really wrong. Reach out. You know how to get a hold of me. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I apologize, but Tesla Vision, I don't know what you. So I appreciate the donation, of course. If you want to expand a little bit, you don't need to super chat if you want, but I just don't know what that means. Apologize. I don't know who Mac is. So there is that. Shad is Australian. Yeah, Shad is Australian. You're correct. Scalagrim is one of the first YouTubers to cover medieval weaponry. Totally, yeah. Well, I think when Scalagrim had already at least 50,000, if not 100,000, is when I actually started YouTube. And I remember that Matt Easton had 30,000 and Shad still hadn't started because I think Shad started after me, if I'm not wrong. Because I started 12 years ago. So, yeah. Have you heard the ballad of Bilbo Baggins? Yeah. From Leonard Nimoy? No. Is it like a cover? Metatron, when did you begin to take content seriously? After about a year, I think, of content creation. And after 2 years is when I first monetized. But for the first 2 years, yeah, didn't go there. My last video is on my channel. Oh, I see. I'll check that out then. If I can give any advice for anything, of course, I'll try to help. Yeah, you did right. My last video. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out. Sure. I'll have a look. Thanks. Did YouTube used to pay better 10 years ago? No, it pays better now. At least in my experience. But again, 10 years ago, I didn't have... No, I think it does pay better now, factually. I do believe so. Because in fact, 10 years ago, I think there are a lot of channels that became popular and exploded too soon. And one of these, I think, is Boogie. You know, Boogie 2988? It is one of those that he became famous and popular when there was money on YouTube, but not as much as there would be today. Because today, if you got the same as, like, if he got now the same views that he got back in the day, he would have made a lot more money. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I hate what some of the things that Boogie said and did are horrible. Particularly when he scammed the audience with that crypto. No, that's a no. Sorry. That was pretty bad. This is an actual problem, not a bit. Oh, no, I believe you. Tesla, I do believe you. I'll check out your video after the stream. I'll have a look. Totally. I can't, like, leave the stream and watch stuff just because people say, because too many people could say this and then I couldn't function as a streamer. But I'll check it out. Yeah, you could also let us know. I'm sorry that you keep having to super chat, but yeah. For that, but yeah. But I will check it out. I promise you that. I'll check your video, see what's going on, and see if I can... I don't know what I can do, to be honest, but if you want, I'll leave a comment, I guess, if there is something that I can do. I don't know if there is, though. So, yeah. I don't necessarily have it. So, when it comes to church denomination, you're asking, Brady. So, I was brought up as a Roman Catholic, obviously. I mean, yeah. And then I went through a period when I stopped going to church in my teenage years. Then, in my late teens, I started to seek. And so what I did for a few years is that I started going to all sorts of denominations because I wanted to see what other churches have to offer apart from the one that I was born in. And so, I went to Methodist churches. I went to Jehovah's Witnesses and listened to their Bible studies. I went to a few others, and then now I'm kind of losing, of course, Anglican Church a few times. And lots of denominations, lots of Baptists, yeah, lots of denominations. The one church that I spent the most time is the LDS Church after the Roman Catholic Church. So I spent a lot of years in the LDS Church as well. And right now I enjoy calling myself just a Christian because we don't really go to church that often, which is a shame because I would like to go. We have gone to a non-denominational church a few times with my wife. It's just that now when it's Sunday, I'm so busy that I enjoy just staying home. But I know that as a Christian, I should go to church. I mean, there are other things, like as long as you pray, I think that's very important. But church is good. Church is good. So will I ever select again a single denomination and literally become once again part of that church? It's possible. I leave it open. It's possible something will happen in the future. I don't know when. But right now, if anyone asks me, yeah, I studied with a lot of different Christian churches. The one that I don't right now, I just like to call myself a Christian because that's to me the most important thing as a Christian is that you believe that Christ is God and that he was resurrected. That makes you a Christian. After that, we can discuss all the small doctrinal things, even the big doctrinal things, but nothing is more important than that for a Christian. And so as long as you believe in that, you're a Christian. So that's where I'm at right now. But as I say, I don't mind. It's possible that one day I will return to one of these denominations that I've experienced. And I've had a great time with all of these, by the way. I never had, like, one of the churches that I tend to disagree a lot with is the Jehovah's Witnesses. But I have to say that I have a friend, his name is Alessandro. He's a full-on Jehovah's Witness. He has invited me many times. I've gone because I'm very open-minded. We have had wonderful Bible study time, and he knows the Bible. I mean, there is one thing I gotta say about I don't think I'll ever become a Jehovah's Witness, I'll be honest with you. But one thing I have to say is that these guys spend so much time reading the Bible, and definitely more than the average Catholic. I have to say that. Maybe not priests, obviously. Priests know the Bible. But average Catholics don't read much, which is a shame. And there are exceptions, clearly. But Jehovah's Witnesses, goodness gracious, they read a lot. So the guy knew the Bible like this. Regardless, the way he interprets the Bible, oftentimes we disagreed. I don't like the whole thing about the blood transfusion. I don't think that that's correct. With that being said, when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, the one guy, even more than my blood-related family, the one guy that was always, when I wasn't there because I was 6 miles away, he was like very Christ-like. Always there. My mom needed someone. He would drop everything, go to my mom, hold her hand, help her out, speak beautiful words. And he wasn't preaching to her. He wasn't preaching. He was just using the stuff that he knows you have in common, because you will always find there are a lot of elements within Christianity and the different doctrinal positions that are very different, but you also find elements in common. I noticed that he used that with my mom, so I have to be very grateful to Alessandro. And so to me, I know that some people absolutely hate Jehovah's Witnesses, but I want to say, maybe don't hate the people. You can disagree with the doctrine, I do, but the people, in my experience, are pretty good. And that's the same experience I had with the LDS Church. Wonderful people. So at the end of the day, yeah, look at the people, and then you can disagree with the doctrine, and we'll see. Yeah. Southern Baptist Methodist was the most fun I ever had at church, says Evil Black. I appreciate that. Yeah, lots of singing. I was about to say, are they the guys with it? Because I know evangelical Christians use a lot of guitar. Yeah, totally different from the Southern Baptist service of my youth. I see. Yeah, I understand that, yeah. Unfortunately, my father is mean. I'm so sorry to hear that, Jacobu. Seems like the most important thing is finding your way. I agree, Benjamin. So, yeah. You've been following the channel for a long time. Thank you. Appreciate that. If you believe in divine intervention, you have to tell me why the innocent suffer. So that's, Benjamin, is a very good position, of course, and it's the argument of evil, and then there is the argument of suffering. There are two of the main arguments that are usually used during debates. Alex O'Connor does because Richard Dawkins presents these as well, but I don't think he's good with the biology, but Alex O'Connor is better with the philosophy and theology, to be honest. Alex O'Connor is an atheist, but he's a non-combative atheist. That's how he describes it, non-belligerent atheist, if you will. And yeah, the problem of suffering is, of course, an interesting position from an atheistic perspective. I do have my beliefs. I don't know if I want to go into it right now. I have spoken about it already a few times. the idea, I'm just going to bring it up very briefly, but I might make a video at one point because it is a topic that would have to be discussed in details. And I don't want to use the entirety of the stream to do that. I'm sure you can respect that. But yeah, no, the idea is, evil and suffering only happens during this life. But from the perspective of God, who is eternal, at least from the point of view of a Christian, right, or a believer, is that there will be an eternal life afterwards. So the amount of time compared to eternity that we have to deal with suffering is a blink of an eye. And so, but then again, the experience that we can gain through this suffering helps us grow. That doesn't mean that I know all the answers. I don't. But as a person of faith, I try to logically understand the reason why there are problems in this life. But then at the end of the day, faith is trust. So what I choose to do is basically say, we have got suffering in this world, but I do trust him as a perfect father. And therefore, there must be a reason why suffering happens. Otherwise, he wouldn't have allowed it. So if suffering happens, there has to be something that he knows, and one day we will know, that justifies it. And that's the section of faith that includes trust. Just like I trust my parent, because at the end of the day, if God is real, I understand some of you don't believe him, but for sake of argument, if God exists and is real and is perfect, right? Not blind faith necessarily. No, I do try to use reason as much as possible, but reason and logic cannot. There is a line that at one point, if you're a man of faith, you gotta say, I don't know. If you're gonna be honest, be careful of men of faith that tell you they know everything, because then they're being disingenuous. Regardless, what the point I was trying to make, I'm gonna round up this and maybe move to another topic and read the rest of the comments. But the point that I was trying to make is, as a child, when I was 8, it would annoy me that my parents would force me to go to school, right? Why? Because my brain wasn't developed, my frontal cortex wasn't developed enough, and definitely not as much as them. So to me, without their understanding of parents, going to school looked like something, why can I not just stay home and play games all day? That seemed better. Because it was better? No, objectively not, because I didn't have the intelligence necessary to understand the reasons why going to school was necessary for my future. But my parents did. And now as an adult, after I've gone through the process, I can see and be like, oh man, my parents were right. I couldn't understand it, but I trusted them. And that's the way I connect this life with the things that from my earthly limited perspective appear to be negative only, and I cannot for the life of me explain why suffering has to happen, and I hate it. But I trust in my Heavenly Father, and so I trust that He knows something just like my parents did that I don't, because He's more intelligent than me. And that's the way I approach it. Doesn't mean that I know everything, guys. And I know that some of you will disagree. I appreciate that. But that's how I base it. That's how I would reply to that in a very small version. Perhaps I will improve it a little bit on a video one day. Yeah, Janus says, that doesn't mean I know all the answers. I don't. More of us faithful need to be comfortable admitting that. Totally. And yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of debates between atheists and Christians, and sometimes the atheists, like Alex O'Connor, win the debate because the Christian is not being... And I hate that. I'm on the side of the Christian, but I have to be intellectually honest and say, man, you lost the debate the moment you just kept insisting. The guy brought a good point, and you just will not admit that that's a good point. And at that point, you can just say, I don't know, and move to the next thing. You don't have to say you know everything. Yeah, so it's just one of those things. Anyways, where would tier Claudius as emperor? I say B tier. I don't like Claudius, mostly because Malik, thank you for the donation, mostly because of his sexual stuff. But apart from that, yeah, he does get points because of the successful operation in Britannia, I suppose. So we'll have to see. Yeah. And Jacobo says, I really appreciate your ability to not be mean, etc. Thank you. Yeah, I try to be. Let me see the comments. Let's see. Yeah, it's same for you, OG. Every Jehovah's Witness you have met has been nice people. Yep. Can say this about most religions. Sure. A lot lots, I don't know what that means, based upon biases and anecdotal. Yeah, of course, I disagree with that section, but apart from that, I think we are in agreement. What do you think about the Reformation? Not sure I want to go there freehold, but thank you for the comment. Really good people, Brad. Yeah, LDS and JW. LDS and JW, man, we're speaking like an anachronism. Very good people, I agree. Yeah, and Machiavellian, I'm an atheist, but it annoys the hell out of me how Richard Dawkins treats the Bible as it's supposed to be a science textbook. Me too. And I've seen some apologists try to do that too. It's not a science book, so yeah. Sometimes Richard Dawkins is excellent. He's very intelligent. It's just that sometimes he makes statements that are categorical, and to me, that he loses points at that point. Because if you're gonna be honest about it, as an atheist, you can say you don't believe in God, and I respect that, but you can't say there is no God as a statement of fact, because it's an unfalsifiable statement, the same that you usually use, the same argument that you usually use against Christians when Christians tell you, but this is the word of God, and then you say, but that's an unfalsifiable statement, so you can't make a categorical statement. But then if you do the same thing, and then he does it a lot, right? So at that point, I'm going to say, how about we say what we believe? You don't believe there is any God, and the reasons are the way he looks at nature, the way he looks at biology, and he's got his reasons and his arguments. Great. And then I'll tell you I believe in God, and I'll tell you why. But if you're going to make a categorical statement, sometimes militant atheists do that in the comment section. When they do that, I respond with a categorical statement. So if someone tells me there is no God, then I will reply under the comments and say, there is a God, praise him. Because at that point, I'm sorry, but I'm always polite. But if you use a line of argumentation that is specifically designed to attack my beliefs, then I will respond in kind. But that is the only case in which I would do something like this. Because otherwise, if you tell me you're atheist, I'll tell you, okay, cool, what pizza do you want? Like, it makes no difference for me whatsoever. I will not judge you for it. And I will judge you from your actions, for your thoughts. Because there are plenty of atheist people that are wonderful, like in their morality. And I can respect that, but when they come and do the militant atheist thing, they piss me off, and I think you can understand that. Thanks for the membership. Oh yeah, you got the membership gifted, Josh. I'm so happy to hear that. It's cool to have you here. And let's see. Yeah, of course, privately. Yeah, totally. You're gotta be careful on how people are privately. Oftentimes we don't have access to see that. There is the free will argument. That's another one. Sure. Exactly, Dreamheart. Same. As I say, I spent a lot of time with the church, and yeah. Dawkins doesn't claim that it's a true fact, though. So Jacobu, I watched him a lot, and he doesn't only when he's pressed. So if he's not pressed, he'll tell you, but of course, this is all nonsense. That's what he says. He's categorical. But when he's really pressed, and he's like, but can you really know for sure? Only then, he has done it with Piers Morgan a couple of times, only then will Dawkins say, well, yeah, obviously I can't say 100%. Then he'll admit it, because, yeah, you have to admit it. Then he will. But in his language, he goes categorical 90% of times. 90% of times. He does do that. So, yeah. Yeah, Dreamheart, my analogy has always been that it's like an ant attempting to understand particle physics. I agree with you on that. If, once again, there is a God, then the distance between us and him in intelligence is probably even more than that. Yeah, I agree with you on that one 100%. I'm also very suspect of overly nice people. I understand. And you're like, what's your agenda? Yeah, I guess. As I say, actions speak louder than words, right? Your phone has good taste. Classic margarita. Oh, I see. My phone wants a classic margarita. Oh, that's funny. Margarita is good. I mean, if I'm going to judge a pizzeria, if you guys are talking about that, I usually try the margarita first. Because if they can do the margarita right, then usually they can do other stuff right. If you try and judge pizza, but you get one of those that have a lot of different toppings, then I'm really experiencing the quality of the toppings. But really, the margarita is a great way to judge a pizza, because then you get to see how is the sauce made. Is the cheese good quality? Is the dough great? Is it airy inside? Does it have, it's that kind of situation. So margarita is a great way, to judge a pizza. Thank you, Height52, for the support. Have you ever heard of the transcendental argument for the existence of God? It's how I found faith through logic. No, I don't think I have, unless maybe I'm not familiar with the name of the argument. If the margarita is S tier, then everything else is A plus at least. Yeah, I agree, Jack. Totally. Nicholas asked, am I biased or based? Well, as we were saying at the beginning of the stream, as long as you remove the I, meaning the feelings, I think you can be based, because you can base it on logics and then the facts. At that point, it happens a lot in history. People get offended with feelings. At that point, they're biased. Yeah. Very cool. Cloudy Camera, hey, I don't know if you have yet responded to World of Antiquities comment under your I had to be brutal, just wondering if you did or not. No, not yet. I'm thinking of making possibly either a comment or a video. But if I'm going to make a video, I'll probably make it later, because we are supposed to collaborate. So I want to see, before I do that, we're going to do a little collaboration, because even though we disagree strongly, he doesn't think so, I do. But regardless, we have very strong disagreements on the concept of ethnicity, race, correct nomenclature and terminology when it comes to ancient Rome. Obviously, I mean, I made a debunking video. But the guy, I have to say, you may like him or dislike him, Dr. Miano, but he has spine. Because what other YouTubers that I've debunked in the past have done is that resort to personal attacks and ad hominem. What the guy did is invite me to a collaboration. I can respect that. So probably that's going to happen. He wanted to do a collaboration stream, and we were going to talk about the pyramids, and that because, of course, I understand Italian, so I think I can bring in some good information, and that's what they wanted. He has a geologist joining one of his streams, and he said he wanted to do it on Friday, but we have to review the timings of that, because we still haven't found a slot that overlaps. Yeah, but I hope we can do that, because I think it would be great. In fact, I think one of the reasons why I would want to do that, collaborate with someone that I strongly disagree with on historical matters, would be a phenomenal way for once for the internet to be educational, particularly when it comes to the youth. So you can show, look, we disagree, we are still being decent about it, and we are even making a collaboration together. I think that would be a good message for the internet to show. And so yeah, we're not making it personal, you know. It's at that point, it's like, yeah, disagree, okay, great, let's talk about the pyramids. And I hope we can make it happen. I just hope that we can overlap the timing. I agree, the civil discourse is important, totally. And trust me, when I watched this video, it really annoyed me, which is why I made the debunking. But I still didn't do even one ad hominem attack. I just attacked his arguments. His video really annoyed me. But he is a good person as a human being. I don't have any problems with him whatsoever, nothing. I have problems with his arguments and his choice of words, which sounded very politically pandering. He doesn't think so. I get it. I still think that my comebacks were very on point, were really on point. He disagrees. He wrote that big comment. That's why I pinned it. And that's that. But we'll see. Everyone is biased to a certain degree. Yes, you're right. You, Fisher. A person who can look past their biases can be considered based. Yeah, at least up to a certain point, right? Because we always have a certain degree of bias, but one thing is having 80% of bias in your work, and one thing is maybe reducing it to 30%, and much better work, and definitely closer to the truth. That's really what we are striving to do. Yeah. As soon as you start personally attack someone, you lost the argument debate. I agree, OG. In fact, it's like GG, well played. That's what I do. Like when they start like that, I'm like, okay, I won. Because honestly, you do. And you don't just do meaning personally. You do in the public eye. Exception being the haters. They don't matter. And the fanboys, they don't matter. But for the public, if someone insults like a maniac and the other one doesn't and just attacks the arguments, it's an obvious victory at that point. And the only people that won't see that are the haters, but they wouldn't see anything anyways. Like, it doesn't matter because haters hate you anyways. So they don't matter at all. You lose credibility when you resort to acting like a child. Totally, Jasper, 100%. The word for electron comes from the Roman word for God. No, so, does it? What would be the word, though? Like you mean a specific deity, I think, like the name of one of the gods, I think you mean, because the word for God is Deus. So, in general terms, have you ever thought about making a Sicilian channel where you teach a Sicilian and learn about culture, history, and food? I basically have it, and it's my second channel. It's one of the series that I have in the second channel. I wouldn't make a dedicated channel, but my second channel, Metatron's Academy, has a whole sub-series on Sicilian, and I'm considering to expand it, because right now it's a little small, but I do have a few videos where I talk about Sicily, and I would keep it on that channel. There's no need to making 15 channels. I've already got 4. I've already got 4 channels, guys. I can't make 15 channels. It's already, it takes what it takes to run 4, although 3, because the 4th one is run by my wife, my clips channel. She takes care of that one, the editing and whatnot. Yeah, true, OG. In fact, the Bible is a collection of books, and it's written by many different people. It's not a single book, 100%. Your language channel was how I discovered you. Really, Jack? Well, that's so interesting. So the other way around. First you found the second, and then you joined the main. That's so interesting from me. For me, it's really interesting. I'm just greedy. I really want to learn more Palermitano. Sounds good, Jack? Yeah, people do call it the book, but it's not a book. It is a library. In reality, it's a collection of books. That's what the Bible is. We refer to it as the book because of the way it's organized now, but it is a collection of books written over centuries and centuries. So yeah. I didn't have cable as a child. We only had the 4 Metatron channels. So that's funny. Yeah. Let me turn on the air conditioning because it's getting a little hot. Whew, I'm sweating here. Pretty much, yeah, anthology. It's a good way to say it, anthology, I guess, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Sam. He's hot pondering the suffering, yeah. You should do a video about the Council of Nicaea. Yeah, as I say, these are all very good video ideas. Evil Black says Metatron, the L came from Elohim. Yeah, sure. Oddly. Oh, from Electron. Does it though? Is there an actual connection to Hebrew? I don't know if it does. I'm not sure about that etymology, but if you say so. Oddly, I know this because of a deep dive into the Hebrew synology in Superman. Yeah, because Kal-El, of course, yeah, Superman was created by Jews. So, of course, they put the word El, which means God, in one of the translations of... Because there are a lot of words that we have in the Bible, in Hebrew, that get translated in English in ways that sometimes are a little arbitrary. But yeah, in the very first, Elohim is found in, which is the word for God, one of the words that we translate into God. It's a mysterious word, though. No one really knows what it means. But it is the one that it's referred to, of course, to what we would translate as God. It is a plural word, by the way. But it's in the first verse of the Genesis. Genesis 1:1. Bereshit bara Elohim. Third word in the Bible. 3. There you go. Probably, I'm not a numerologist guy, but I never thought of it that way. It's kind of cool that it is the third word in the Bible. But yeah, that's the first verse. Bereshit bara Elohim et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. That's the first verse. Yahweh would be the tetragrammaton, YWH, with those vowels, sure, but we don't really know how it was vocalized. Plural of El, yeah. You also have Eloah, Elion, a lot of the terms. Yeah, sure. Fascinating though. Thank you, Night King. Random, but they recently had a Viking warfare expert on Insider. Really? The dude actually looks like a Viking. Ooh, I need to see that. Let me see. Insider. Ah, right, Viking. Insider Viking. Let's check it out. Ooh, this guy, man. Look at that guy. So what is he saying? 2 weeks ago. Viking warfare expert. Of course he's a Viking warfare expert. Man, you look the part, right? It's like, that's insane. And he's holding an axe for some reasons. That's cool. Maybe he's discussing the weapons, how they were used. I watched The Northman. I wasn't particularly impressed. Some things were good, but some things were weird. Viking warfare expert rates 11 Viking battles in movies and TV. How real is it? Insider. You know, I would love to watch this, but half an hour is a little long. We'll probably have to choose sections, and then we could do a little reaction to it. Usually Insider doesn't copy claim. Sometimes it has, but usually it doesn't. Kind of looks like Gandalf, yeah. Without translation, you can't understand another tongue, though. Would be impossible. I don't think it's overrated at all. Chotto Nagai, ne? No, I think it's cool. The beard, you mean? It's a little long? No, it's good. That's some proper beard right there. Northman was a cool movie. Yeah, there were some things about it were good. He looks like Dumbledore. Yeah, he does. He does look like Dumbledore. What else have they got on Insider before we actually? Because definitely we're gonna watch that one. I didn't know that they put Roel Kanindijk, I think it's pronounced his name, the ditch guy. I didn't know he was actually on the banner. Goodness gracious. Anyways, so they have Navy SEAL, Ancient Warfare Historian, rates 75 battles, 2 hours and 50 minutes. That is insane. In fact, for the amount of work, the views are not good at all. So, I mean, I'm sorry to see that. I always hate seeing that, by the way. Yeah, Gandalf Danax. Man, that's a name. Instead, the Viking guy got 500,000 views. Then, how FBI Undercover Age. I think people are a little bored of the movie reactions. They have done it so much that I think people are like, yeah, I've already watched it. Or like, nah. It's probably what it is. It's got to be that. It's got to be that. Because, I mean, they have 9 million subscribers and get 7,000 views. It's like the public doesn't care at that point. Instead, their FBI got 7 million. How did they get? How FBI undercover agents actually work? Authorized account. Yeah, that is interesting. I gotta say, that is interesting. So from the inside, from my perspective, this got a 1 out of 10. With a little green arrow up and the explosions that you get on Creator when your video does really well. This one got a gray arrow pointing down, 10 out of 10, and then it's saying your viewers are not interested. Like, I know it. That's definitely what happened. Poker Champions rates 11 poker scenes in movies and TV. 29 minutes. Probably even a bit more manageable, honestly. Army Special Ops, how fighting Russia and Ukraine actually works, 1.2 million. Astrophysicist rates the science of 9 outer space movies and TV shows. That could be fun. I mean, not for this channel as a react. There's nothing to do. It's got to be historical for me to react it. But yeah, Night King, thank you for the support. It's a compilation of previous experts. Oh, I see. Well, at least I didn't have to re-record it, I guess. Still didn't do well, though. What else have we got? Lord of the Rings. This one instead got 500,000. I guess I think I reacted to this one. You can still see the red bar, so I reacted to that one. I forgot about Insider, I'll be honest with you. That's why I haven't reacted to them in a while, but now you reminded me. So we'll probably check out the Viking one. We could react to that tomorrow. How about that? Because today I've already done 2 reacts. I don't want to do too many. But tomorrow we could check this Viking guy out during the live stream, and yeah, sounds like an idea, sounds like a plan. Very cool. Totally. All right, guys, I'm gonna revert back to regular chat now. Once again, thank you so much for anyone becoming a member. I really appreciate that. We revert in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. So massive thanks to the brave 320. That's nice. Welcome back everyone to the chat. So what I'm going to do for the last maybe 20-30 minutes of stream, possibly. Well, let me first check. So I'm going to go get a drink. I'm going to use the restroom very quickly. So you're going to have some time with the chair. Please make sure that my chair behaves, by the way. It'll count on you. Keep an eye. Then I want to see how my wife is, what she's doing. If she wants to watch a movie or something, then I think I'll call it a day for the stream. If she's busy reading something, because she likes reading her books, then I'll come back and do another half an hour and we will play some Street Fighter. Yeah, that's a Vega mask. In fact, whenever I do play Street Fighter, whether it be tonight or whether it, like now, whether it be later on tonight or whether it be tomorrow, I'm going to wear this throughout the whole thing. Anyways, let me go and check and I'll be back in 3 minutes or so, and then I'll let you know what's gonna happen. In the meantime, have a good time in the coffee time back in 5 exactly. So see you in a little bit. Hello. So how's the chair? How's the chair, guys? The chair just relaxed, revealed the location of the tomb of Alexander. Man, that was a... What is my chair doing? You're playing some Oblivion, that's cool. Looks comfortable, chair is biased. Oh my gosh. Camera focus on the mic. Uh-oh. Not the chair? Microphone stole the stream from the chair. Ooh, that's... Man, that is a affront. That is an affront. Meta chair, best comedy. Can you believe the chair just said that? That's unbelievable, Rebecca. What was the chair thinking? Greetings from the Netherlands. Hey, Toyn. Melanie, hi from New Zealand. Hello, hello. I love the Kiwi accent, by the way. Love it. I don't really play Minecraft now. Not really for me. I'm more into survival games, so I'll play a Conan Exile. I'll play Valheim. But yeah. So there is that. Thank you so much, you guy dude, for the support. Sono alla grande. Tu come diresti I used to? In Italian, you mean? I used to. So we don't have we don't really have a literal I used to. So if you want to say I used to smoke, for instance, you would just say, you would conjugate it into the imperfetto tense in Italian, and you would just say fumavo. So you could say prima fumavo, ora non fumo più. So now I don't smoke anymore. So when there is a change in habit, which is usually what I used to conveys in English. So I used to smoke, now I don't, for instance. Then in Italian we just conjugate in the imperfetto tense, and that's how we render that idea. So I could say I used to play tennis, I would say giocavo a tennis quando avevo 15 anni. So I used to play tennis when I was 15, implied now I don't. So that's how we render that expression. Yeah. Is the Metatron angel real? Oh goodness gracious. We'll have to see. Of course I'm real, I'm here. We'll have to ask some scholar. Have you played the Forest Metatron? Yes, and I like the second one more. Very fun game. You're trying to quit vaping. Well, I'm definitely on your side. I've never smoked nor vaped in my life. Not interested. I think it's a waste of time, health and money. But, so yeah, I'm definitely with you with that. You already quit smoking? That's very good. I'm with you on that. I hope you can do it then. If you quit smoking, you could totally quit vaping as well. It's not as bad as smoking, but it's still not good for you. So, cool stuff. Thank you, Cortova. It's good to be back. Stream is back, guys. Quit the anti-frog mouth. Yeah. No more anti-frog mouth talk, guys. You want to get into cigars? I see. Yeah, the smell, I mean, sure. The cigars smell great. I think when you... Well, so cigars smell great, but as a non-smoker, when someone smokes in the room, I've got to leave. So that's why, like, my house... if you want to smoke, you got to go to the garden, the yard, because no smoking in my house is allowed, because it would really... Apart from the fact that it messes with your walls, and then I've got pets and everything, but in general, I hate it. I can't stand it because I never smoked. Although I heard that people that used to smoke then dislike it even more when they stop. That's what I heard. I don't know, but yeah. Your breath smells really bad. True. Very true. Even your teeth. I mean, coffee and cigarettes will make your teeth go yellow and brown. So you gotta be extra good at brushing if that's what you want to do. You got back to smoking? I'm sorry to hear that. It's been 3 months. But man, I mean, it's your choice, of course. But if you begin with unfortunately, then maybe it's not. Maybe there is something else. Find a new hobby, replace it. Because at the end of the day, you could, if you imagine the amount of money that you would save, depending on how much you smoke. My dad used to smoke 20 cigarettes a day, per day. Luckily, I didn't take after him. But yeah, I mean, can you imagine how much money that means? You could buy you could get into video games. You could totally buy like 3 new games every month on Steam and still spend less than you spent for that. And the bonus is that your lungs are fine if you play games. And if you're not into video games, you could like miniatures, painting, like there are other things that you could readjust that. And if you need the money, it's a good way to save it. But I'm saying if you do have a little extra money and you like the idea of, is it splurging? Is that the word? Then yeah, I mean, you could do that. Like, and that's the thing. Imagine 20 years. In fact, when I first showed my, you just reminded me of this, when I first showed my 7 Warhammer Fantasy fully painted armies, plus all of my video games that I have a collection, massive collection, and the helmet and the breastplate, and this was before the channel was big, so I already had a lot of this stuff. And because now you can say, well, he's a YouTuber, so of course he writes it off. But before I couldn't. And people were like, what, are you rich? And I'm like, no, I just didn't smoke. Because if you think about it, 30 years of smoking, and then for me, 30 years of non-smoking means that we probably spent a very similar amount of money. It's just that I spent it on my hobbies and you spent it onto something that turned into smoke. So I end up having a lot of the stuff that I bought with the same money that whoever it was that was smoking spent on cigarettes. And after 30 years, you've got nothing. And if anything, what you've got is in your lungs. Instead, for me, I've got 7 Warhammer Fantasy, lots of miniatures, video games everywhere, posters and this and that. Yeah, and my lungs are clear as crystal. So we really do think about that. Well, like if you want to smoke, you can do it. But I'm saying, do think about all the cool. When you watch a YouTuber and you're thinking, man, I wish I had so many board games. You can quit smoking, and then you'll buy them, Buy guitars, for crying out loud. I'm not saying don't spend on stuff you like. I'm just saying it is a monumental amount of, yeah, OG. It's a waste of money because it doesn't seem like it, but it does add up when you put 10 years into it. Of course, it's an addiction. It's easier said than done, but there are programs that can help you with that. And once you do manage, as far as I heard, is that at first it's really difficult, but once you do go through that, then you don't want it afterwards. Like, it's gone, it's finished, it's out. If you smoke a pack a day, you'll spend anywhere between $8,000 to $15,000 a year, depending on where you live. Now, given 1 year, so in 10 years, that's $80,000 to $150,000. And then people ask me, how do you have an Amiga 500, an IBM computer? I mean, yeah, that's how. I never smoked. That's how, guys. So you could you could have trips with your loved one. You could go on a journey and you're like, oh, we can never afford a nice journey because the hotel are expensive and it will cost $3,000, $4,000 for a week, whatever the heck. Great. Don't smoke for a month. You'll do it. So, no, and I'm saying this, I'm not making fun of smokers. I'm just saying, I wish society allowed you to really look at this from the perspective of what you could have got and what you could get. Like, if you're just at the beginning of it right now and you're like, I just started smoking, but think about it, in 10 years, you could fill a room with cool stuff. Yeah. Anyways, so I talked a little bit with the wife. She's done reading, so I'm going to go watch a movie together. I'm going to spend a little time with the wife. I'm going to stop the stream right now. And then I might come back tonight at around 11 p.m. on Twitch, maybe 11:30 on Twitch, to do a little Street Fighter with Vega. I can't guarantee, but do have a look. Do have a look. Be like, hey, let's see, it's 11:30. Let's see if Metatron is on. And I might be on Twitch for some gaming. But I do appreciate, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate. Thank you, Yo Guide, for the support. Thanks for advice on quitting smoking. Ti ringrazio, figurati. Piacere mio. My pleasure. I'm probably gonna kind of edit that chunk out and put it on clips and maybe on Twitter, because I think people, if they, who knows, I could help people stop smoking with a little bit of a logical approach to it. And so, so there is that. Thank you so much. Thank you guys on Twitch, of course. I have a 1050 Titan sitting around. Not the latest, but it's a driver. You were talking about that. That's cool. Yeah, you see, you could buy 4090 if you stopped smoking. Thank you, guys. I'll see you later. Have a good one. Thank you for your generosity for joining the stream. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.